What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 7SS. Chapter 102 10 times stronger soul coercion. Poros full shot. Advertise here. Poros was pushed back again and again by Xia En's 20 times Kaiwang fist, but his heart was extremely excited. Yes, that's it. This kind of power is the opponent of this overlord. Poros, who was not surprised but delighted, had never been so emotionally excited. But I have to say that after opening the 21 times Realm King fist, Xia En's aura is not inferior to Poros at all, and the three cadres, Golyu Yushupu, are now awakened. After the momentum, people can't help the fear. He is so strong. No, that will not be the opponent of King Poros. Although Golyu Ganshupu was afraid, he firmly believed that Poros was stronger. It was the first time that Xia En opened such a powerful Kaiwang fist, and Xia En herself could feel the surging energy. Apart from anything else, facing Boros, who was brainlessly excited and thought he had found his opponent, his backhand was a magical killing cannon. The bright light concealed the original shape of the magic penetration light cannon, and the pure light beam swept across the distance, and before Poros could react, it directly pierced through his arm. Blood splattered. Poros's one eye was bloodshot, and his irregular pupils contracted, as if he was surprised that he was actually hit by Xia En's light waves. However, Xia En's attack isn't just meant to hit him, it's the chosen angle. I saw the pure light beam penetrated Poros' arm, and went straight behind him. That position is exactly where the three monster cadres of Golyu Ganshupu are located. He wants to attack us. Golyu Ganshupu didn't understand why he came directly at them, just trying to avoid the not-so-thick beam. As a result, at this time, the diameter of the magic-penetrating light-killing cannon skyrocketed. It was as if the whole space could hear a buzzing sound. First, Poros' arm was pierced, and the explosion of the magic gun directly broke his arm. At the same time, Golyu Ganshupu, Maruzagarudo, and Glorybas behind them had no time to dodge the light cannons of the skyrocketing radius. Instantly swallowed, it can be seen with the naked eye that the figures of the three monsters disappeared in the light cannon, and there was not even 06 scum left. However, the indomitable magic light-killing cannon has not stopped, and the angle of presentation has also affected the 10,000-meter spaceship in the sky. Amidst the loud bang, the spaceship was also pierced by the light cannon, a big hole was opened, and countless fragments fell, until the bright light beam sank into the sky. On the warship that was swung away in the distance, whether it was marine or pirate, or the five elders who were far away, everyone was shocked by Xia En's move. Gellinger's eyeballs were protruding, his mouth was slightly opened, his eyes were blank and he pointed at the scene in front of him, as if asking if this was true. Sengoku, Garp, and the three admirals were all shocked and dazed, like clay and wood sculptures. Especially those pirates who had just been caught in Whitebeard were stunned by everything in front of them, stunned and stunned. If Xia En had used this strength just now, they would have lost their lives long ago. Too strong. Too shocking. Everyone has witnessed how strong that one-eyed monster is, but it was pierced by Xia En's light cannon in an instant. The rest of the monsters were killed, and there was not even a single remnant left, and a big hole was opened in the spaceship. Even a bunch of aliens with low combat effectiveness watched by the monitor inside the spaceship were scared out of their wits. Their cosmic dark matter pirates have never encountered such a powerful enemy before. Even Si-Du was slightly taken aback, with blood dripping from his arm, and turned his head to the spaceship behind him. He also didn't expect that Xia En's light cannon would be so powerful. It's fine if he didn't block it, and the subsequent power would be so powerful. But Poros didn't care at all that the men behind him were gone, and the spaceship didn't matter. What was important was Xia En's solidarity. As expected of someone who can be my opponent. It's really great, but it can't hurt me to this extent. Excited, still excited. Poros' energy is concentrated on the severed arm, and the terrifying regenerative ability makes the flesh and blood seem to pop out, instantly recovering. The ability to regenerate is really good, but you'd better come up with the strongest state. Xia En raised her finger and aimed at Poros, and she was not interested in the normal form of the overlord of the universe, because she was not strong enough. He knew that Poros was in a state of energy liberation, bursting out with all his strength, his combat power soared, and his speed and power would reach an extremely terrifying level, capable of pushing the bald demon king to the moon with 10 knees. So in order to fight heartily, Xia En still wants him to show that kind of state. In the end, Poros really cooperated, and without saying a word, the lines on his arms and body began to brighten. I know you are strong, so I won't try again. Come on, let me fight to my heart's content. The state of energy liberation is on. Poros's skin turned black all over, and the lines on his body were bright like cracks in his body. The orb on the chest is constantly surging out energy fluctuations. Even other people can see that the pink arrogance surged on Poros' body, coupled with the aura that terrified countless people. It was like a real demon king descending into the world. It was extremely shocking. Just the aura of the two of them caused the sea of clouds to howl in the sky, the thunder to roar, and the waves below to roll up a tsunami tide. Even the warships cannot continue to be safe on the sea, it all depends on those strong people to stabilize them. It's too scary. Quickly, retreat. Garp stared, and was the first to react, calling for everyone to retreat together. Are you kidding me? Watching the battle is watching the battle. Life is still important. The battle is escalating again. This kind of power is not something they can bear even the aftermath. Look at Whitebeard and Golden Lion again. Although the shackles are gone, where are the marine pirates at this time? All quickly retreated together. Just like the aftermath just now, they vomited blood when they came close. Now the battle in the fierce stage is not close to them at all. I am afraid that the only one present who dared to watch closely was I am alone. The overlord of the universe, can he really win? She looked at Xia En with some worry, and at the same time was frightened by Poros' horror. After releasing the energy, Poros is indeed terrifying. Xia En knows the details of this guy, seeing that he really took out the strongest form, and once again released the magic gun to kill the past. A bright light cannon, as long as it is bombarded, it will completely explode its power. But at this time, Poros improved in all directions, and the one-eyed eye clearly captured the power of the magic light cannon, and immediately burst out energy arrogance on his body, like a meteor dragging its tail, and quickly drew an arc. Dodged the magic light cannon. Then, following the light beam, it rushed towards Xia En like a meteor, and punched out violently. Boros in the state of energy release hits with a punch. The violent impact ripples spread crazily, purely a conflict of strength, but the effect it produced was even more terrifying than the aftermath caused by the ability. In the blink of an eye, the seawater abyss under the two people's feet could not be restored, creating an extremely terrifying vortex. The people in the distance didn't escape the impact. People turned upside down, and the warships had turned over. Fortunately, the five elders' golden lion still had the ability to fly to stabilize it. Xia En saw that on Susanoo's body, where Poros hit, starting from the point, a large number of cracks unexpectedly appeared. What a terrifying strength. Being able to crush Susanoo with one punch, far surpassing all the existences he has ever seen, Xia En couldn't help but feel very dignified. Immediately, it soared to the height, and between waving hands, Susanoo skyrocketed rapidly, and all the cracks formed recovered. No way. Although Susanoo's complete expansion will make the target bigger, but there is no difference in front of Poros, and the defense must be expanded to the strongest. This is the small satellites and small meteors outside the planet that will be crushed by my fist. His defense is not broken, and he can recover. The defense of this illusory giant is a bit exaggerated. Poros was also very surprised and glanced at his fist. If I don't come up with some means, the magic gun cannon can't hit him at all, let alone other moves. If this continues, he will have the upper hand. This enemy is not an ordinary strong man, someone whose rank is far higher than that of Pirate World. Xia En is very serious and starts to use a stronger form. Clenching fists with both hands, a silvery white luster appeared all over his body, and even his hair was rendered silvery white. The area under his control expands rapidly, and the aura stronger than Kaiwang Fist occupies the entire space. Hee. Seeing Xia En's mutation, Poros let out an ugly laugh. In the next second, the explosive energy in his body covered his body, turned into a meteor and dragged his tail, and violently lifted off towards Xia En. At the same time, Xia En enters the state of Ultra Instinct, and when she raises her hand, she shoots a magic beam cannon. In the area under absolute control, even Poros' next move can be predicted, so naturally he will not miss again. The light beam hit Poros' shoulder without any accident, directly removing his right shoulder. Unlike ordinary people, there will be no bloody pictures on Poros' body, only the flesh and blood are torn, revealing muscles that are different from humans. His attack has caught me. Poros didn't feel any pain at all, and was a little surprised at the precision and ruthlessness of this blow, but if his movements were slower, his body would be torn apart from the middle. At the same time, being hit by Xia En's light cannon, the attack momentum is also affected. This is an opportunity. Xia En naturally won't waste it, let alone in the state of Ultra Instinct, the shot is full force. The beam rain composed of the magic gun cannon reappears in front of everyone's eyes. One after another erupted from Xia En's fingertips, the speed was so fast that it gave the illusion of just one blow. And these light beams seem to cross an arc, falling from the sky, and the final target converges on Poros. In this situation, Poros can't hide, not even a single shot. The dense magic light cannon pierced through his black body, tearing apart the flesh, and finally collided with each other, and the flames burst out directly. Like a small sun formed in the sky, shining brightly in all directions. The aftermath of the terrifying power seemed to deafen everyone in the far distance, leaving only a spectacular scene. This blow, it worked. It's too strong. So many light beams passed through the body of that one-eyed monster, and it produced such a terrifying explosion, it's absolutely terrible. I am. 5 elders, Gellinger, Kong, Sengoku and others could not help but look forward to it. Thinking about it now, they thought that Xia En was just a little better than them, but now, the one-eyed monster who can easily defeat everyone, Xia En is worthy of praise. Moreover, what everyone's cognition was broken was the battle between them that far surpassed everyone. It's not one-dimensional at all. However, 830 Xia En looked down at the big ball of fire below in the air, even if the energy inside exploded and the destructive waves surged up and down, his expression did not change. Because Poros will definitely not be defeated by this level of attack, Xia En is very clear, because Poros's physique cannot be injured, except to live or die, and the injury can be recovered directly within 2 seconds at most. The purpose of the magic gun light-killing cannons gathered together this time is to cause some troubles. Use up his energy. Sure enough, when the light dimmed and the smoke hadn't dispersed, the bombed Poros was still in place. A large piece of the head was missing, the one-eyed eye was gone, and the solitary half of the body had no blood and only pieces of flesh hanging there, which was extremely terrifying. In the next second, those bodies that were blown away seemed to be attracted by a magnet, and they directly covered Poros' body. Before everyone could see clearly, the black-skinned, one-eyed Poros was already intact. Who doesn't feel dizzy after watching it? The people below all hissed and gasped, feeling awe-inspiring. This person's moves. Why do they have the deja vu of Xia En? Just like Xia En's Susanoo, the one-eyed monster can directly return to his physical body. The abilities that both sides can use are very pervert. It seems that it will not be so easy for Xia En to decide the outcome, and everyone is back to the state of worry. You have improved. Poros was a little gloomy at the moment, he didn't expect Xia En's attack to be so ruthless, directly blowing off half of his body. Although it won't have any huge impact, it still hurts. But what responded to Poros was still a bright beam of light. Now I use the magic light to kill the cannon. The consumption can't keep up with the recovery. It can be almost unlimited. It depends on how many times you can sustain the recovery. Xia En didn't plan to use other moves yet, thinking in her heart, she simply used up a wave of Poros first. Ever since, the loud laughter in Poros's throat didn't stop, he was directly pierced by the beam of light through his neck, tearing his muscles, and his head was separated. The next second, Poros took it back strangely, and sprinted towards Xia En without saying a word. Immediately, Xia En blasted 5 beams in a row, piercing Poros' body with several big holes again. Poros's one-eyed eyes showed a ruthless look, and he has also learned to be smart, and he can no longer charge like this, so when he recovered again, the energy in his chest poured out. Xia En could see clearly at this time, the energy hole in his chest was actually an eye. It is the eye pupil that appears when the energy explodes, and the surging energy spurts out a light wave, colliding with Xia En's magical light cannon. Chapter 103 The strongest form of Poros, the 10 times stronger night guy reappears. Advertise here. The vision of the people watching the battle below is occupied by the brilliant lights of both sides. Both sides are powerful energy cannons. After the collision, a violent conflict immediately formed, like a huge fireball that is constantly expanding while braving thunder and lightning. Immediately, a terrifying high-temperature wave of flames swept across the sea area below, instantly evaporating most of the sea water. A huge mushroom cloud rose in the sky, and the duel between Xia En and Poros continued, and light cannons and energy cannons continued to pour into the explosion. Xia En's eyes were serious, and Poros glared even more madly. He knows that the state Xia En enters is extremely terrifying, as if he can see through all movements, but in such a conflict, the competition is hard power. What a huge energy. To Poros' surprise, he was able to blow up an explosion within a range of tens of kilometers in an instant, but he still couldn't suppress Xia En. And below, resisting the horrific aftermath, 5 elders, Sengoku, Garp and everyone else are retreating rapidly, their eyes are still looking at the battlefield with indescribable horror. What a truly desperate battle. The battle between Xia En and Poros made them all feel powerless. Not to mention fighting, just the wave of fire that swept across them could swallow them up and destroy them. It wasn't until more than 10 seconds later that Xia En's light cannon and Poros's energy cannon were level with each other, consuming the offensive, and then it barely stopped. Neighboring opponents, really good. Surprised by Xia En's strength, Poros still maintained a high fighting spirit. Xia En, who was in Ultra Instinct, was calm, her expression and eyes didn't change at all, she was extremely calm. The next moment, Susanoo moved, and so did Xia En. Being passively beaten is not Xia En's style. Even with Susanoo's huge phantom figure, she can still use various moves. For example, teleportation. Poros suddenly turned to look at the sky, only to see that Xia En had already appeared above his head, and Susanoo was doing the same. The illusory palm patted him hard. With a bang, the air was blasted and turned into sound waves that were harsh. The storm created by Susanoo alone can seriously injure an opponent at the level of 4 emperors. But Poros reacted extremely quickly, the pink energy that exploded all over his body shook, he turned around and punched Xia En's Susan's palm. The moment they collide, it seems like everything is being torn apart. With such terrifying power, even if it is incompetent, it will exert terrible destructive power. The turbulent sea below instantly sank, and Poros' body trembled suddenly. At the same time, sparks scattered from Susanoo's illusory palm, and the crack that was hit by Poros' punch spread. Never thought that he could attack in this way. The moment Poros was hit by the shock, an arc burst bypassed Susan's palm, and sprinted towards Xia En himself along his arm. Still want to use this trick. In the Ultra Instinct state, Xia En can make optimal countermeasures for melee combat almost without thinking, and the same is true for Susanoo. When Poros went straight to his body, the magic light cannon exploded from his fingers. Under such circumstances, Poros has almost no way to quickly and completely avoid the beam attack. But his reaction was also very fast, the assault figure paused, his chest burst out, and the pupil-like energy muzzle on his chest released turbulent waves. Another wave of energy conflict broke out. The fierce flames reflected on the sea and sky again, and everything around them was destroyed by their aftermath. Even the sea below couldn't be restored, and a large area was directly evaporated. Excessive water vapor filled the sky and was stirred up by the conflict between the two. More and more dark clouds completely covered this large area, and thunder continued to roll. However, since the location was on Susanoo's arm this time, the burst of power also caused some damage to it, causing a large number of cracks to burst. Xia En didn't rush. After confronting Poros, the fire energy between the two has not dissipated. Susanoo's crack quickly returned to its original shape, and fists were clenched between raised hands. Immediately, it slammed down towards Poros' body. The burst of air driven by Susanoo's illusory fist directly scattered the conflicting energy between the two, and bombarded Poros without hesitation. Immediately, it was so fast that people in the distance couldn't see how Poros was directly blasted into the sea by this punch. They saw thousands of waves rising up into the sky, and Susanoo's arm went straight into the sea. Poros was smashed into the ground so hard that even the sea was separated, revealing that the wet and muddy sea floor below was collapsing. The earthquake caused directly pushed the surrounding seabed magma to rush upwards. At this moment, the surface of the sea was no longer the surface of the sea, but instead, there were several pillars of magma and fire rising into the sky, reflected in Susanoo's gesture of punching. But soon, with a bang, under Susanoo's fist, Poros was able to resist, hitting the fist, trying to push Susanoo back. Moreover, he seemed to be pissed off by Xia En. Just now, Xia En's punch directly exploded his entire body, almost destroying the natal bead in his body. It's okay if it's just like this, but the problem is that Poros hasn't even touched Xia En's hair, and the phantom giant hasn't broken through until now. This made him very psychologically unbalanced. So holding Susanoo's fist, he didn't choose to move away, but carried it hard, and the energy on his body burst out, wanting to hit Xia En back. Boom, boom. A loud impact sound, accompanied by a powerful impact, made Susanoo's fist full of cracks. Xia En's eyes were fixed, and she didn't back down, her fist suddenly pressed down. With this collision, the terrifying power that erupted between the two of them directly emptied the surrounding sea water that was rolled back, and the range continued to expand. From the outside, it looks like a circular wave ripple, as high as hundreds of feet, constantly spreading outward, spreading. Afterwards, Xia En Susanoo's arm was really shattered by Poros, but in the next second it returned to its original shape and fell down again. The roaring sound continued, and no one thought that the two of them would fight from the air to the bottom of the sea, and they would develop into such a confrontation. Not even long, Poros was beaten to death by Xia En again, and after recovering quickly, an energy cannon burst out, destroying Xia En Susan's arm, and the energy passing through the air exploded into the sky like a storm of fire. Both sides have the ability to restore. Xia En restores the outer Susan, Poros restores himself, you come and go. The battle between the two is no longer as simple as a few submarine volcanoes erupting and seawater reversing. I am, Five Elders, Sengoku, Garp, and Whitebeard, Golden Lion, etc., all the people who watched the game were deeply touched. Every fight is amazing. When the sound reached their ears, everything in their field of vision was being destroyed by the aftermath of the two. If they weren't far enough away, they might not have been spared. Everyone was dumbfounded when they saw this turbulent, world-changing battle, and it was very shocking. They have become so powerful that they can destroy islands at will, even if they overthrow and destroy the whole world. What is the difference between such a terrifying power and a god? If you fight like this, the world may really perish. Five Elders, Sengoku, and Kong finally knew what fighting in another dimension meant. The so-called overturning the world and destroying the world is not an exaggeration, unlike Whitebeard's claim to trigger the destruction of natural forces. But their own powerful power is enough to destroy the whole world. However, at this moment, Poros smashed Xia En Susanoo's arm again, turned into a streamer and flew into the air quickly, laughing loudly. Happy. Happy. But that's it. Happiness is really happiness, but Xia En's defense keeps him unable to completely break through the defense, and he gradually feels tricky. Now, he finally couldn't bear to show his real full strength. Freed from Susanoo's fist, Poros flew into the air and began to explode with energy. The sloping mouth of the chest is like a dam collapse, and a steady stream of turbulent energy gushes out endlessly. For a moment, the sky and the earth seemed to lose their color, and the terrifying fluctuations were on him, like a star. Meteor burst form. In this ultimate form of mine, no one can hold on. Using all the strength of physical strength as the propulsion force, so as to obtain explosive speed and strength beyond the biological limit, the destructive power is far beyond what the previous battle can compare. So Poros is very confident to defeat Xia En at this moment, talking nonsense. Indeed, I am, Five Elders, Sengoku, Garp, Kong, and Whitebeard, Golden Lion, Kaido, and everyone below can feel the endless and terrifying energy of Poros at this moment from a very long distance. The atmosphere is trembling, the sea is screaming. These people were all in awe, their bodies trembling with fear, trembling uncontrollably. Some people covered their heads and howled on the ground, some people looked at Poros in the sky, their pupils vibrated violently, and they were terrified. The overlord of the universe. Seeing this power, I couldn't help but think of how Poros's subordinates introduced it at the beginning. She couldn't stop her heart from trembling, a wave of fear that couldn't be suppressed at all. There was also deep worry in her eyes. This power is too exaggerated. Xia En will lose. At this time, Tianzheng yelled in horror, his limbs trembled and he fell on the deck. Backquote. Yeah, such an exaggerated power. I'm afraid Xia En really can't stop it. Quote. Gellinger and the others were silent, thinking this way in their hearts. In other words, this kind of power, everyone has never even thought about it, and the despair that arises spontaneously, as if the world will be completely destroyed in the next moment. Indeed, if Poros is willing, this planet will be able to overturn the surface in a short time in the form of a meteor burst. But at this time, Poros moved with a bang, and the meteor-like flame dragged his long tail. Unlike the traditional energy release, he used himself as the attack energy to make his body break through the biological limit. Even so, the energy in his body made him feel like a nuclear bomb. In the blink of an eye, before everyone had time to see clearly, Poros' inflated body hit Xia En's Susanoo hard. Even Xia En couldn't help but look serious. Barely even the ultra instinct can handle his speed. Xia En murmured, looking at Susanoo in front of her, there were already a lot of cracks on her head. This distance is really no different from teleportation. And Poros can't even see his mouth at this moment, only the huge one eye is left on the whole face, but Xia En knows that he is smiling. The next moment, Poros' figure had just disappeared, and Xia En, who hadn't turned her head, was still looking at the crack, raising her hand to kill with a magical light. But this time, it didn't hit Poros, but was hit by him like a meteor in the blink of an eye. Still in that position, Kacha, you can see that the crack on Susanoo's forehead is more obvious, and it seems that it will be pierced next time. Knowing that the phantom giant can heal, Poros didn't stop for a moment, and shot one after another. Bang, bang, bang. As for Xia En, a stern look flashed in her eyes, and in the silvery white light, a wisp of red mist appeared. Let me see how long your defense can last, can you? How many attacks can your body resist from me? As if anticipating that he would be able to suppress Xia En after the outbreak, Poros' tone was a little complacent. In the continuous bombardment, every blow made the space tremble, and crazy fluctuations spread all over the place. At this time, Xia En did not mend Susanoo, her gaze was still endless. How strong is my body? Really don't know, because I have never tried how strong after ascension. Gradually, the inside of Susanoo was filled with the red flames, and at this moment, Susanoo's head was constantly bombarded by Poros. The orange-red light was constantly being smashed by sparks, and the atmosphere was filled with the incomparably violent aura of Poros, so that everyone, including Poros himself, did not realize that the Xia En inside had changed into another form. Finally, in the bleeding burst state, Poros struck again with a punch. This blow completely punched a hole in Susanoo's forehead, illusory translucent fragments fell, and the luster of energy melted like a fire. Inside, it is Xia En standing in the void. It's over. I'm still the strongest. Conquering the strong is a particularly exciting thing for Poros, especially now that Xia En is exposed in front of him, in the form of a meteor burst, blow him up with one blow. How wonderful. Poros was so excited that the missing mouth was split open again up and down. Outside this gap, Poros made a sprinting posture, propelled by energy, so fast that it was unimaginable, and stretched out his fist towards Xia En. Suddenly at this moment, the entire Susanoo disappeared directly. Xia En, who was dressed in red arrogance, had her hair fluttering, showing more violent power, which surprised everyone including Poros. Immediately, Night Guy, Miscellaneous. Chapter 104 Night Guy's Terror. Temporarily learn boxing from Garp. Advertise here. This is what Xia En has been waiting for. Poros in the meteor burst form is really not easy to lock, the strength and speed beyond the biological limit, Xia En thinks that it should still be inferior. The one-shot Night Guy accumulated here must be hit. What kind of move is this? Poros felt palpitations for an instant. But following Xia En's Yi Guy, he raised his leg and appeared in front of him, and kicked it out. The red flaming form that enveloped him turned into a giant red dragon several times larger than Kaido's blue dragon form. From the eyes of the people watching the battle below, a dragon head appeared on Xia En's body, and as it appeared, a whole red dragon appeared, crashing into Poros' body. The scene was extremely shocking, but what was terrifying was the power of Yi Guy's move. Almost everyone knows that Xia En's move of the red dragon is terrible, and Kaido and Bullet know it best, but the current Yi Guy is far more than 100 times more than before. Time and space are distorting. Poros' one eye was instantly bloodshot, showing horror. He found that he couldn't dodge in the form of a meteor explosion. The surrounding space seemed to be extremely compressed and condensed, and he was like a person wrapped in steel and fixed inside. Watching helplessly, Xia En's leg kicked her body. Thunder flashes, the red dragon roars. Not surprisingly, Poros' physical body could not resist Xia En's attack, as if time and space were not only frozen but slowed down, he watched his body melt away inch by inch, destroyed by the red energy. And Xia En also kicked while staring at the energy of Poros, perhaps this kick could directly smash his natal beads. In this case, this big trouble will be solved. The idea is good, but how could Poros be caught by Xia En so easily? The natal bead was not hit by Xia En, but Poros, who couldn't resist Yi Guy, couldn't even scream, and half of his body including his head was destroyed by the red dragon. The flesh and blood dissipated, and the shadowed screen made people feel cold and want to see it. However, the terrifying power of the red dragon has not stopped, because the attack power is too powerful. While blasting Poros, it roared and landed on the turbulent sea at an oblique angle. The sea water was rubbed by the high pressure and distorted atmosphere, and disappeared, and the terrifying red dragon poured into the bottom of 443, creating a huge gully under the bottom of the sea, until it spread hundreds of miles away. The sea was broken by Xia En's foot of Yi Gai. Everyone watched this scene in astonishment, watching the only remaining body and fragments of Poros being thrown down and falling into the ravine on the bottom of the sea. This was also the first time that Poros was beaten and his body burst into blood, which was extremely terrifying. Win. Did you win? It seems that Xia En's attack is too terrifying, the sea has been completely torn apart. How can that monster hold on? I saw it. The body is gone, and the head has been beaten into a bloody mist. I will definitely not be able to live. The Marines, pirates, Sengoku, and Admiral all thought that Xia En had won, and their expressions gradually became excited. The words he said seemed to tell himself to believe that Xia En defeated the terrifying monster. I am. 5 elders, and Geringer swallowed their throats, and looked closely at Xia En's side, expecting to completely win this battle in their hearts. The ocean was split by the roar of the red dragon, hundreds of kilometers long, and a large amount of red mist remained in the abyss of the sea that could not be seen at a glance, making it impossible for the sea to flow back, forming an extremely spectacular scene of breaking the sea. After releasing Yi Gai on Xia En's body, the luster on his body changed back to the silvery white form of comfort, and he looked at the place where Poros fell, without relaxing. It's a pity that he didn't hit his natal bead. Yi Gai is one of Xia En's most powerful killing moves. Poros will definitely not be able to resist it, but without breaking his regeneration ability, such a move cannot kill him. Just like when I held him down and exploded the hammer under the sea, it will be back to normal in a blink of an eye. So Xia En knew that the falling wreckage of Poros would not actually die, at most it would consume some of his energy. Sure enough, just when the marine pirates got excited and said that Xia En had defeated a powerful enemy. There was only a little wreckage of Poros left, and I don't know which part it was. It slowly rose up and appeared in everyone's field of vision. Immediately, everyone couldn't help but break out in cold sweat, and they were extremely terrified. That weirdo. In an instant, starting from that part, all the bodies that were shattered to powder returned, and it looked like they were reborn in situ. Head, body, arms, all recovered in a blink of an eye. What kind of monster? He can still recover from that kind of attack. It's all turned into powder. Everyone was desperate, trembling all over, and lost their voices, as if they were struck by a thunderbolt on the spot. What a powerful attack, but this level is not enough. It's still the Poros who is full of momentum and full of energy. It's just that his expression is more serious now. Now he knows. Xia En has the attack power to kill him. It's just that before the words were finished, the silver-white figure was already in front of Poros. Xia En's indifferent eyes were close at hand, and he punched Poros into the seabed mud again. Well, a little slower. Just now I wanted to attack while he was recovering, but I didn't expect Poros to recover so quickly. Xia En felt a little pity. Because thinking about it, if you want to find and smash Poros' natal bead, you can only find the most obvious position at the moment of recovery. It's just that this blow hasn't succeeded. Poros won't give Xia En another chance, so he can only suppress Xia En with absolute strength, hammering him to death like a bald devil. At this moment, the expression in Xia En's eyes became serious again. Fighting. Now is the real decisive moment. She didn't open Susanoo anymore. Facing an opponent of Poros' level, this would affect her own mobility. With Ultra Instinct and Absolute Physique, Xia En's attack power is actually stronger. As expected, in the next second, a meteor rushed from below at an unimaginable speed. When Xia En saw Poros' figure clearly, her fist was already hitting her head. No need to think too much, just tilt your head, raise your hand, and instantly move to fight back. All the actions seemed to be preset, and Xia En and Poros directly entered into a fierce fight. This is the power of Ultra Instinct, the limit uses its full strength to play. The speed of both of them has reached the ultimate level. Except for IM, even Garp and Whitebeard can hardly see the battle between Junon and Rose clearly. Only the occasional figure remains, and the aftermath of physical confrontation shocks all directions. One of the best recovery physiques in the universe is really strong. Even with Ultra Instinct turned on, Xia En fought Boros with all his strength, but the fight was still extremely stalemate. In terms of punching and kicking, Xia En was able to confront him with his current nature and state, and was even slightly better. Coupled with Ultra Instinct, it can even blow up Poros' body many times. But precisely because Poros is immortal, he will not be injured at all, and he can recover instantly even if he is blown up, so there is no chance for Xia En to defeat him. If you want to defeat him, you must either exhaust his energy, or kill him completely. What a hassle. Xia En couldn't help but feel very dignified. The battle lasted for a long time, but gradually his own advantage continued to decline, and the fight was evenly matched with no need to defend. On an ordinary planet, such a remarkable guy was born. If it weren't for Tianzheng, Poros would really, Agbi, not find here. In today's battle, He also has a trace of urgency, because although the energy is still enough, it is not endless, so he is also very irritable. Because he can't beat Xia En. He is even caught by Xia En all the time and gets blown up. Originally thought that as long as Xia En's defense was broken, the strength beyond living things would be enough to crush him, but he didn't expect that Xia En would not only be able to confront him head-on. There's even a creepy hollow trick. Whenever there is a powerful move to attack Xia En, the attack will penetrate Xia En's body and hit the air. At this time, both sides fell into a situation where they could not defeat each other. Boom. The air exploded. Poros first released an energy shock wave, then leaned over and stomped on the air, attacking Xia En around Xia En at a speed exceeding the energy shock wave. Without looking back, Xia En raised her hand and fired a magic light cannon quickly at Poros's energy wave. At the same time, the air pressure exploded in her ear. You can see that Poros's fist has already hit his head hard without looking. Come over. In an instant, Xia En made a posture of kicking and turning, but it was obvious that such a posture would be hit by Poros. But at this moment, Mangekyo Sharingan loomed in Xia En's eyes, flashed by. The punch of Poros' mighty energy hit the air directly, passing through Xia En's head, as if hitting the air. The power of the fist poured out, completely destroying the small island in the distance, and trapped it in the flame magma that erupted on the bottom of the sea. Immediately, Xia En's kicking and turning movement was just completed, kicking a big hole in Poros' chest fiercely. Even the blood was vaporized by the direct kick, and the incomparably violent force caused a bang, and the impact of force rushed straight into the distance, blasting the sea surface. But in the blink of an eye, Poros' body quickly sucked back the body residue and returned to its original state. Both sides retreated quickly at the same time, their eyes full of solemnity, ready to take the next step. The battle between the two has gone farther and farther, and I don't know how many islands have been blown up along the way, and like this offensive, Xia En has come with him more than 10 times during the battle, and the back and forth is very fierce. If this goes on like this, it is impossible to solve Poros. You must master more powerful skills to defeat him in one blow. When Xia En stepped back and opened the distance, he thought of Yi Gai and the Ultra Instinct on his body, and suddenly Fu Lin thought of something. Before Poros could react, a teleportation disappeared in place, and came to the sky above Garp, which was already far away. Xia En, Sengoku, Garp, 3 Admiral, I.M., 5 Elders and everyone looked over nervously. Fortunately, Xia En has no injuries, but 1 second he was fighting at a distance, and the next second he was in front of them. What does Xia En want to do? This guy is almost immortal, I need stronger moves. Mr. Garp, teach me your boxing skills. Xia En was very direct, and finished the sentence extremely fast, staring at Poros within the range of perception. Although the distance is far away, it only takes a few seconds for him to continue to kill, so after finishing speaking, Xia En directly flew towards Poros and continued to charge. After hearing this, everyone was almost dumbfounded, and no one could react for a while. Until not very far away in the sky, Xia En collided with Poros again, and there was a voice. Hurry up, I can hear and see. No delay. Delaying the battle will only make things worse in every way. I see. Garp never. He nodded hesitantly, letting people make room. He, including a large group of people in Marine, knew that Xia En had a heaven-defying understanding, so he woke up and executed it immediately. I.M. 5 Elders also remembered Xia En's astonishing comprehension, and murmured in surprise, he actually wants to learn it on the spot. But is it useful to deal with a strong person of this level? Quote. As long as he comprehends new mysteries, it will be useful. Garp has no doubts about Xia En's ability. So he began to slowly explain his natural disaster-like boxing techniques, and personally luck hockey, strength. People on the pirate side, such as Whitebeard, Golden Lion, and Red Earl, Bullet are all going to be confused. The red-haired Shanks and Shichibukai are even more unbelievable. Xia En's idea is really unique, learn in battle, and want to comprehend stronger moves to defeat the enemy. Can this really work? Everyone couldn't help feeling worried and palpitated, feeling that if even Xia En had to use such a method, he might really be unable to deal with the one-eyed monster. Only Garp, Sengoku, and the 3 admirals firmly believe in Xia En, and their eyes are dignified. Xia En's battle with Poros was not as focused as before, and most of the postures were defensive, or using Kamui, Hollow himself to entangle Poros. However, Poros also knew Xia En's plan, his eyes were bloodshot, and he shouted unhappily, are you done like this? Use these moves to procrastinate, and just learn the moves from the weak below to defeat me. It's not that Poros couldn't hear, and the movement between Xia En and them just now was very clear. Unexpectedly, Xia En actually wanted to do this, and perfunctory with himself with a calm face, relying on himself not being able to hit him. He. Xia En didn't explain to Poros at all, but grinned instead. In the state of ultra instinct, pay attention to Garp's voice movements, just like seeing and hearing with your own eyes. However, Garp's boxing method seems to be more profound and varied than other moves, and it is fine if he does not want armament hockey to show it directly in his hand. While fighting, Poros taunted again and again, you are no longer worthy of fighting with me. Chapter 105 Fist Evolution Open Black Lens Bracket Punch Seriously Close Black Lens Bracket. The end of Poros. Advertise here. Play and learn. Poros looked down on this kind of thing very much, and his shots became more and more fast, accurate and ruthless. Powerful attacks are always pierced by Xia En Kamui. If you don't dare to make a move, I will kill all the people below. Poros's eyes flickered fiercely, and he was really annoyed by Xia En's behavior. The strong still learn the moves of the weak during the battle. And Xia En is still distracted in the battle with him. Poros is very angry, it is simply insulting the overlord of the universe. You can't. Xia En stared back without showing any weakness. Although he was always in the Kamui Hollow, as long as Poros made a move on the people below, he could instantly move to intercept. Sure enough, Poros tried it anyway, grinning a terrifying smile, the arrogance burst out on his body, and he immediately rushed down. Similar to Poros in human anaerobic exercise, he really doesn't want to delay with Xia En for too long. After all, the meteor burst form is very heavy on the body. How could Xia En let Poros act fiercely? She had already prepared for it. A teleportation directly stopped Poros in front of him. Kamui launched it, and the space wave twisted and spiraled. Instead of retreating, Poros advanced, and smashed down the air with a powerful punch. It can be seen that energy is raging everywhere, and Poros even showed a look of success. Xia En did not remove Kamui, and now in the hollow state, he can only block Poros with time and space, and cannot make a move, but it is not powerless. The channel of time and space swallowed all the damage of Poros, and the moment it closed, his arm was torn off. And the energy coming from behind also penetrated Xia En's hollow body, and rushed straight to the rear, but lost the fatal threat it should have had. Looking at the broken arm, Poros regenerated unhappily, and his bloodshot one eye was very impatient. An interesting move, different space. He knew that it would be very difficult to rush to bypass Xia En in a short time, and this was the first time he had seen such a weird skill. And Garp below also practiced his boxing skills conscientiously, meticulously, his head was already sweating. Xia En didn't care what Poros was saying, her eyes were still indifferent, and she was distracted to learn Garp's boxing. A mouth-like hole appeared on Poros' face again, and hee laughter spread. Immediately after trying again, the energy of the whole person exploded, and the speed was even faster. Xia En's eyes froze immediately, teleportation began to appear in various positions, trapping Poros without exception, any offensive would not affect Garp's boxing demonstration. Seeing that Xia En's style of play was completely at a disadvantage, and he didn't even make a move anymore, blocking it with a weird space distortion, Five Elders, Gellinger and the pirates were all shocked. Xia En will be at a complete disadvantage if he continues to fight like this. Why doesn't he fight back? If he fights back, he can be blown up many times. He is distracted in learning boxing, is it really sure that he can use what he has learned? All the majestic power in the sky was stopped by Xia En, except for Marine, everyone else was worried, because once such a battle is lost, the world will be over. Poros, the one-eyed monster, who can stop him? However, Marine still kept a straight face, staring solemnly at the top, knowing that Xia En is under a lot of pressure, fighting with hands and feet is completely different from learning moves and blocking the enemy with distraction. But at this time, Poros was a little impatient. Seeing that he couldn't break through Xia En many times, he stopped and said coldly, "It's really boring. Are you going to defeat me like this? You do not dare." Xia En replied unceremoniously. "No, I look down on your behavior, it's an insult to me, and it's really boring, so, don't fight." In fact, Poros didn't want to procrastinate any longer, the consumption in this state was too great, and it was impossible for him to keep fighting because of his physique. With Xia En's illusory body, his attacks couldn't hit him, and he could also distort the space to block his own power. Poros couldn't bear it any longer with his rogue style of play. But Xia En is still learning, only by evolving more powerful moves can he completely wipe out Poros, otherwise the two will be evenly matched. One has no solution for defense, and the other has no solution for recovery. In fact, Xia En is sure if he wants to completely defeat Poros, he doesn't need to reach the level of a bald demon king, just enough to break the regeneration beads in his body. Otherwise, it would be impossible to use Yi Gai by consuming a lot of physical strength again. Forget it, I thought it was a hardy battle, but you let me down, so I decided to destroy you and those people. All together with this planet. Poros' voice became much louder, and everyone present could hear it clearly. Suddenly everyone's complexion changed drastically, and everyone was terrified. No one doubts that Poros can do it, this one-eyed monster is too scary. Xia En couldn't help but look more dignified, only Garp didn't dare to be distracted, and wouldn't stop, concentrating on performing his decades of boxing. This is the time to test his marine hero, and it is also the time to test Xia En. Because after finishing speaking, Poros decisively raised his figure, stood at a higher altitude, and decisively used his big move. Crash Star Roaring Cannon. Poros put on a starting posture, terrifying energy poured out from all the outlets in his body crazily. Huge lightning, the size of 2 or 3 people, moved violently in the energy ball that gradually formed outside his body. These lightnings fell into the sea, connected to the sky, and occupied everyone's field of vision. It was so terrifying that countless people trembled and completely despaired. Everyone is terrified, the energy intensity that breaks through cognition, and the power of death and even destruction makes people like Golden Lion, lead in the middle, horrified and shouted, "Luang is too terrifying. He is coming for real." Once the terrifying energy is poured out, it will really destroy everything in the world. That charming lightning, and even the air was ignited by violent energy at the beginning. It really seemed that various nuclear reactions had occurred outside Poros' body, forming a small sun-like flame that spread continuously and became huge. This trick. There was also a trace of eagerness in Xia En's eyes. Bengxing roaring cannon. You may be able to resist it if you fight it out, but you may not be able to save your life. Xia En doesn't want to stop there. Come on. Come on. Just a little bit. And the garp below is very persistent, with cold sweat breaking out, a little trembling. Even if you don't look at it, you can feel the terrifying power that stings the skin on top of their heads. Xia En, you must realize something. Many of the others, however, were frightened by Poros and sat down on the ground. It's over, it's over. No one could pay attention to Garp, who was trembling in his heart and still teaching boxing to Xia En. All eyes were on Poros and Xia En. Taking a deep breath, watching the huge fireball crackling with lightning, Xia En's eyes locked on Poros inside. Open black lens bracket ding. Garp's boxing technique has been reproduced successfully, and it has been detected that this technique has a huge room for improvement, and it is currently undergoing evolution. Learned. Xia En didn't look away, and didn't know Garp sat down on the ground after the teaching. Together with everyone, he watched in horror as Poros exploded with all his energy and launched the star-collapsing roaring cannon. Xia En. Xia En. Seeing Xia En standing in the void, everyone below couldn't help shouting in horror. Now everyone's everything is pinned on Xia En. If even he can't stand it, then everyone will be reduced to ashes by the one-eyed monster in an instant, and there will be no scum left. Such a move is simply not something they can resist. Terrible fluctuations continue to strike, enveloping the world. The magma under the seabed is constantly erupting, water and fire are mixed together. The thunder and lightning were frightening, and the earth trembled, as if space was trembling. What a terrifying power, stronger than anything I've ever seen. Xia En also didn't expect that the crashing star roaring cannon was so powerful. It would be impossible to interrupt it now, and it would be even more dangerous. Destroy. It's all over. Poros grinned and roared, and immediately, the terrifying energy turned into a light wave with a huge diameter, blasting towards Xia En. The terrifying light waves left the world with its color, and everyone lost their minds at this moment, their terrified expressions frozen, and it is impossible to describe the feeling of waiting to die at this moment. I'm afraid I can't stop it even if I have new skills. Xia En sighed, seeing the Bengxing roaring cannon continuously magnified in his eyes. Although the speed was not fast, it was the same even if he was not hit head-on. This is the power of Star Destroyer, and even with planet-level power, he can't stop it. I'll hammer you to death when I'm fully developed. Xia En gritted her teeth and turned around resolutely. This kind of power is enough to bear it alone. Using teleportation plus Kamui's time and space, it may be possible to take away a lot of people, and saving one counts as 1-0. Ask for flowers. This is a helpless choice. I can't watch the senior Marines who take care of me die. But at this moment, the system sounded a warning, which made Xia En freeze after turning around. Ding! The evolution is complete. Garp's boxing has evolved into a serious punch. Open black lens bracket serious punch. Go beyond the biological limit and open the limited fist. If one punch can't solve the problem, then 2 punches. Saitama's serious punch. Sure enough, the system gave it, or maybe this is Poros' bad luck. Ha 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 ha. Xia En laughed, and suddenly turned around to face the berserk energy falling from above, with a very bright smile. Are you already crazy? Also, it's normal to feel hopeless in front of my crashing star roaring cannon. Your name is Xia En, right? Goodbye. Poros was very excited, and another opponent who could fight with him fell down. The huge sense of accomplishment made it difficult for him to restrain the excitement in his heart. This is the most exhilarating feeling after a battle, after always pursuing the strong. The terrifying roaring star-bending cannon that fell from the sky was almost above Xia En's head, covering the sky and covering the sky, lightning and flames everywhere, and everyone was in despair. I am rubbing her stomach. Her dark red pupils still have nostalgia for the world, and even 800 years, she is far from living enough. 5 elders looked dull. The eyes of the old man who once stood at the pinnacle of world power were all gloomy. Marine, the surviving fighters from both sides of the pirates, and the cadres sat slumped on the dilapidated deck one by one, and no one said a word. Because it is all over, they will not exist, and the world will cease to exist. And only Garp was still standing there, panting heavily, under the huge energy pressure, shouting, Xia En. He believes, he will believe in death, and he must believe. The world will not be destroyed. Standing under the energy of destroying heaven and earth is Xia En, who created miracles along the way. Understood. Old man Garp, watch out, this punch. Xia En laughed out loud, concentrating all the energy in her body on her fists. Everyone's pupils trembled, watching Xia En put on a very ordinary, boxing stance. There was no energy fluctuation, and there was no movement. Xia En's sharp eyes locked directly on Poros. That overwhelming. People can't see exactly how big the energy light cannon will soon be in front of Xia En, less than 2 meters away. Xia En starts. Sunrise. It seemed that at this moment, the whole world fell into silence, and there was no common voice. But now, It seems that there is supreme power, and it is easy to tear apart the collapsing star roaring cannon, just because it is mixed with Xia En's power. Poros had an unbelievable feeling. His energy, being beaten backwards, the invisible and invisible fist wind, was just composed of pure airflow compression. Sengoku muttered to himself, his expression dull and his despair receded. Poros was still roaring and releasing the collapsing star cannon at the last moment, but after Xia En punched, time seemed to slow down. The crashing star roaring cannon was smashed in half, and it was thrown into the sky fiercely. The fist strength is advancing all the way, it is irresistible at all, and it will not dissipate. There were a large number of continuous dark clouds floating in the sky at the scene, and now they have all been swept away, revealing the blue sky and the faintly outlined moon. Kizaru smacked and said, guessing. Pure strength, pure punching style, like the sharpest pair of scissors, is like tearing a piece of paper or a strip of cloth. WWW. Garp stood in front of the shocked crowd and smiled. No. With this punch, I can see the soil clearly. Am I dazzled? Xia En's fist tore apart the crashing star roaring cannon. The terrifying energy light cannon was smashed open, split into two halves and fell into the space, no one knows how far it will fall. Immediately, everything seemed to return to the normal time and space. Poros was punched head on. He seemed to hear a bang. He didn't feel anything, but there was nothing. Everything was swept away by the direction of the fist. Everyone at the scene was stunned, completely unable to understand, and unable to describe the scene in front of them. Or we are actually dead, so the world is restored, is that so? If someone can be outside the atmosphere at this time, they can see the clouds of the entire planet have been coned in the middle. Chapter 106. One punch to explode Poros and lose the middle points for the Earth. Advertise here. The crashing star roaring cannon was crushed by Xia En's punch, and the powerful power of the serious punch surpassed all the abilities of moves. It even reaches far away. From several sea areas, there are occasional shocking powers, and almost every corner can feel waves of tremors. And at this turbulent time, some people took the opportunity to hunt and kill those with abilities to increase their strength. Blackbeard Teach led a group of people under his command and was hunting the two lightest. Teach, who has dark fruit in one hand and Momo fruit in the other hand, is especially arrogant. Thief ha ha ha, Kaido plans to kill Xia En, let them fight slowly, and when we reappear, it will be time to harvest the world. Stepping down the miserable ability user, Blackbeard laughed triumphantly. Do not participate in any struggle, the right way is the development of the sun. Captain, it seems that there has been an earth-shattering battle, and even we can feel the earthquake here. This fluctuation is very unusual, Van Oka, Lafitte and others can feel a certain sense of palpitation and oppression, said to Teach. Maybe it's just an ordinary earthquake, how can we be affected by the New World battle in this kind of place? Kill these ability users and choose the powerful ability you like. Those have nothing to do with us. Blackbeard said disapprovingly. It is true that Xia En is very strong, but to achieve this level, doesn't it mean that they can destroy the world with one blow? As a result, when he was about to commit murder, suddenly, a terrifying force struck. From a very long distance, Blackbeard's group, including Shiryu of the Rain, the King of Evil Government and others, all found out and turned around in panic. The clouds in the sky were completely divided into two halves, 687 inches, and they happened to be on the path of the splitting of the clouds. The sea is clearly visible rolling up waves to both sides. The next moment, the standing Blackbeard, Shiryu Yume and others were all hit by a terrifying force, spit out a mouthful of blood, and everyone immediately flew to both sides, as if they were hit by a high-speed train. On the contrary, the person lying on the ground is fine. Immediately, even the big mountain blocking the way was smashed into half of the upper layer, and boulders fell down with a bang. Blackbeard fell to the ground and rolled twice, looking up full of panic. What the hell? Who? It was so terrifying that even armament hockey was torn apart in an instant, and they even vomited blood from the beating. However, it wasn't until they reacted that they realized that this terrifying power came from a very far away place, and it wasn't even aimed at them, it was just the aftermath. The other side. Garp, Sengoku, 3 admirals, IM, 5 elders, Whitebeard, Golden Lion and other pirates all looked up at Xia En in shock. Everything calmed down. The energy cannon capable of destroying the world was crushed by Xia En's punch, and even the monster Poros was left with only the head above the mouth intact. This time, Poros' body was not completely blown up, but it was riddled with holes. There is no blood because it has dried up. The real sunshine, I don't know when it has shone on the turbulent sea, making the whole sea area sparkling. If it weren't for the eruption of underground magma everywhere, and the broken wreckage of warships can be seen from time to time, it really doesn't seem like a fierce battle. Xia En retracted her fists, stood in the void, and smiled slightly as she looked at Poros, whose aura was decaying and was constantly losing vitality. A broken, glass-like bead was completely turned into powder when it fell into the sea. This punch directly destroyed Poros' life, and he could never recover. Everyone was stunned, staring blankly at the scene of Xia En smiling, and in the scene cast by the sun, it was like seeing a real god. Desperate in the energy of destroying heaven and earth, and now calming down that has dissipated together, everyone felt as if they were living a dream in a lifetime. But everyone knows that this is a win. Xia En really defeated the one-eyed monster. Poros's regeneration pearl has been completely shattered, his body is withered, only the last bit of energy slows down the falling speed. He no longer has the dominance of destroying the world, but it is extremely difficult to even speak. A hoarse voice came from his mutilated half of the head. You won, it was really exciting battle. I thought you were going to lose, so, did you just learn that move just now? What is the move? The overlord of the universe is already on his deathbed. Punch a little seriously, want to learn? I'll teach you. Xia En looked at the wreckage of Poros falling, Kaido lightly. Quote. Okay, I study. Poros never had a chance to say the last word, and died completely, losing all breath. However, at this time, I am shot without hesitation and directly destroyed the remnant of Poros who was about to fall into the sea. A mass of black flames burned, turning it into air and decomposing it, leaving no dust behind. There is no way. Poros is too terrifying, so terrifying that Xia En beat him countless times, and he is still resurrected safely, even if he is looking at him dying now, but I dare not despise him in the slightest. Xia En didn't say much about the destruction of his body, his chest rose and fell a lot, and he exhausted a lot of energy. It's over. Immediately, slowly landing on the dilapidated warship floating in the air, Xia En faced the crowd, making an announcement. Immediately, most of them couldn't react, and they were even stunned. Is really over. Whether it's the Five Elders, the Golden Lion, the Bullet Pirates, or the Marines, they are all under the shadow of Boros. Subconsciously, I can't believe the monsters from immune to death. Until Xia En nodded heavily, and said with emotion, he is really strong, if it weren't for the final punch, he might not be able to solve it. Now, it is really over, the life bead is broken, and he will not be alive again. Traveling to this world, Xia En didn't know that this world is not simple until after encountering Poros. It seems that the top of the pirate world is still not enough to choose. However, the Marines, the pirates, the captives, no matter which side they were in, immediately burst into cheers. Win. Master Xia En won. It's all right now. The world doesn't need to be destroyed. Yeah, I was scared to death just now, it's too terrifying, the energy that destroys the world. Fortunately, Master Xia En's fist is stronger than him. The world will not be destroyed, and I will not die either. Woo woo woo, I will never be a pirate again. After seeing the Great Terror, everyone's mentality has changed at the moment. Everyone knows that under the apocalypse, these people are really powerless, and they are all grateful to Xia En immediately, and regard them as gods. Im's beautiful eyes have never left Xia En, and she can't figure out why Xia En is so fishy. Poros, who was able to kill the Dragon Lord, was solved by the young geniuses of this planet, how shocking and unbelievable. But the fact happened right in front of her, and she witnessed Xia En's battle and the unbelievable learning comprehension behind it. Five elders, Geringer and the six were excited and knelt down directly to Xia En, and no one felt awkward, and everyone was carried away in excitement and joy, and survived the battle that destroyed the world. The crisis is over. Everyone owes their lives to Xia En, Empress Hancock, Doflamingo, Mahawk and others couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Sengoku, Garp, and the three admirals surrounded Xia En even more, chattering so much that they couldn't listen at all. Mr. Garp, I still want to thank you for your boxing skills. The only person Xia En communicated with was Garp. If it weren't for the boxing technique, he really wouldn't be able to make a serious punch and make Poros fall down. Well, although other skills have been evolved to have a chance to kill Boros, but Xia En still thinks it's better to punch seriously. Then he just sat and rested on the spot, looked at IM, and wanted to ask her a lot of things. Okay, let's continue to be excited after everyone goes back. Pirates don't even think about running away, everyone go back to Mariajoy. By the way, Golden Lion, you will use your ability to move this spaceship back with us. At this time, five elders screened off the Marines and began to deal with the follow-up. There are still many aliens on the spaceship, you go up and deal with them. At this time, Xia En remembered something, and hurriedly told five elders and others. I almost forgot about this, the power source of the spaceship is still there, even if the top is lifted, it will be useful, but don't let the aliens from the dark matter pirates run away with the spaceship. Yes, we'll do it right away. Five elders, Sengoku, three admiral and others heard that they immediately gathered and rushed to the spaceship with a big hole in the distant sky. The rest of the pirates and the revolutionary army are all defeated prisoners, and no one dared to escape with Xia En around. However, neither Xia En nor the entire One Piece world knew about it. Just at the end of cleaning the battlefield, far away from the planet, separated by a galaxy far away, someone had a sense at the moment Poros died. A round body, the volume is not as exaggerated as tens of thousands of meters, but a more advanced spaceship is traveling between the planets. King Frieza. That aura is gone. The dark matter pirates seem to be wiped out. The grotesque little alien hurried to the main control room and said respectfully to the people sitting in the suspension cabin chair. Frieza, with blood-red eyes, purple-black lips, and two blood tear lines under his eyes, raised his finger, directly to the big screen in the main control room, and said lightly, I saw it. There, a red dot flickered, marked, disappear. That Poros guy is not very strong, but he claims to be the overlord of the universe. I want to educate him to include him, but he was wiped out on a small planet. What a waste. Quote. Frieza seems to have been in touch with Poros from the start, and even persuaded him to surrender. King Frieza, Poros didn't even dare to see you, and kept hiding, but he was still capable of fighting. Why did he go to that planet and be destroyed? The little green alien was a little puzzled. It stands to reason that it is impossible for a planet in this environment to have any strong people. Ha 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 ha, isn't that very interesting? It shows that there are people more powerful than Poros. Anyway, I'm idle, and I have nothing to do recently. Start the interstellar jump and take a look. A look of interest appeared in Frieza's eyes, and he ordered without hesitation. This is, Your Majesty. The target was too far away, and the men operating the spaceship were a little confused, but then they responded decisively and prepared to go. After all, this is the order of the strongest universe emperor, Frieza. Xia En looked at Im's magnificent face with a smile, and thought that the old witch standing next to Hancock is really a beautiful scenery. Just thinking that there is an embryo born from her own blood in her belly, I feel even more weird. Isn't this too inexperienced? I just skipped the steps to conceive, but thinking of the 800 years, Xia En is not interested again. Interesting, on the contrary, I am more interested in Hancock. After the battle, the body and mind are relaxed, Xia En is thinking wildly, while resting and waiting for the end of the battlefield, the system prompts to arrive. Sure enough, after seeing everyone, including the spaceship, being controlled, the system beeped. Congratulations to host for completing the task, winning a big battle with Poros and gaining all-round improvement 10,000% bonus. Such a huge reward doubled, almost instantly, Xia En lay down on the deck, closed her eyes and pretended to rest, but in fact every cell was excited, driven by endless energy. From physical fitness to skills, all round skyrocketing. It is estimated that Frieza will lead an army to attack in 15 days. Now release the system mission. Live broadcast worldwide and defeat Frieza, you can get 20,000% reward. Close black lens bracket. There was Poros and Frieza, and both of them had a relationship to find them, and the system also reminded them that they were strong enemies. 0. Infusion. Tiwang. Xia En looked at everyone very seriously, and said solemnly, everyone, in the future, we may have to face even greater challenges. Ross. Song is the beginning. 4.6 Yim and the others looked at Xia En's comfortable groans strangely. As everyone knows, Xia En's joy in improving her strength didn't last long, and the system in her mind reminded her again. But getting up abruptly made Im lean over nervously, looked at Xia En closely, and asked with concern, are you alright? This made Xia En very puzzled, but soon realized, this is not a simple world of one piece, this is a multidimensional universe. Open black lens bracket ding, a powerful enemy is attacking. The system detects that Frieza, the super-dimensional powerhouse, has learned of the death of Poros, and has become very interested in host he is coming here. Close black lens bracket. He actually has a relationship with Poros, and why do people from different dimensions get together? Then it is very likely that there will be gods of destruction, angels, almighty, Saiyans, and even powerhouses from other dimensions appearing in the future. 5 elders, Gellinger and even the marine pirates all looked over. Frieza, the boss of the Dragon Ball world, is so powerful that he can destroy the planet with his actions, and even the spokesperson of the god of destruction, super strong. F***K. Xia En stood up abruptly, her eyes full of disbelief. What the hell, even the system reminded me personally, and this name is too familiar. Chapter 107 Only 20,000% reward for Frieza. Pirate Marine 5 Elders is confused, is there a stronger one coming? Advertise here. After the marine pirates couldn't help but looked at each other, there was an uproar. What does Lord Xia En mean by this? That one-eyed monster is the beginning. Is there someone strong behind such a terrifying figure? If there is, how should we resist? Master Xia En, how did you know? Immediately, many people in Marine were curious but dared not come forward to ask. Xia En was still thinking about Frieza's arrival, her brows looked a little dignified. The 20,000% reward is certainly attractive, but it is also difficult. Poros only got 10,000% reward, which doubled. Could it be that Frieza also doubled his strength? This is obviously impossible. Xia En knows very well that Frieza is the real monster. It doesn't matter if there are stronger opponents in the future, the stronger the strength, the better, and this world also needs further preparations. Xia En, now that such a big incident happened, we will go back immediately, what should we do with these pirates? At this time, Sengoku led 3 admirals and others to ask for advice. In a very interesting scene, the 5 elders were present, but they didn't ask. Im's true identity as the king of the celestial dragons was also known to everyone, but they didn't ask. Marine, obviously following Xia En's lead. 5 elders naturally knew it and kept silent, but Im looked calm and didn't care at all. Now in their eyes, Xia En's strength is simply a dimensionality reduction blow, and no one is dissatisfied, even Im, the king behind the scenes, has tacitly respected Xia En. As for the pirates, except for those who have not broken free from the shackles, basically none of them continue to be shackled, such as Whitebeard, Golden Lion, etc., and none of them escaped. Because it is completely unnecessary, Xia En will not kill them, and now it seems that marine, celestial dragons will not kill them, at most they will be locked up. Besides, with Xia En around, no one can escape, dare to escape. Even the dragon of the revolutionary army was not prepared to flee, but was shocked, and at the same time looked at Xia En quite solemnly. Oh 6 He seems to have noticed something, and feels that now is not the time to talk about freedom. The matter of pirates really needs to be considered. Xia En glanced at Im, then thought about it. Now the world still needs more combat power, whether these pirates are vicious or adventurers, they all need it. Don't forget that Frieza came with Legion, and they are all good dramas in the universe. What's on your mind? Seeing Xia En's dignified expression, Im seemed to have reacted and asked. We have to prepare early. Xia En looked at Im seriously and nodded, and the latter's bewitching eyes couldn't help shrinking. Afterwards, Xia En stood up and said, the revolutionary army escorted all the captive pirates to Impel Down, you should stay inside and put on shackles. Mr. Sengoku, this incident will be broadcast live, we will completely end the era of great pirates. As soon as these words came out, the Marines became excited, and everyone in the world government was also greatly surprised. Xia En's first thing is to end the era of great pirates. Whitebeard, Golden Lion, Kaido, and Big Mom all changed their faces. Whether it is the remnants of the old era or the new generation of pirates, they all have mixed feelings at the moment. They couldn't resist. Xia En was kind and did not intend to kill anyone. Cleaning up the era of great pirates is only the first step. Everyone, our world needs to be unified, do you understand? Xia En looked around at the crowd and said slowly. Some people do deserve to be punished for their crimes, and Impel Down is their best home. Unity. The word sounds a little shocking to everyone, and this is an unprecedented feat. What Xia En actually wanted to do was this. But no one dared to refute, with complex expressions. But soon, Xia En said to Im, the celestial dragons should also be cleared. Occupying an absolute position, Xia En doesn't care about this. No matter what the means are, this is what Im put together 800 years ago. The times are changing, and now is the time when the times are intertwined. Those waste celestial dragons still exist, and they are bound to hinder the unity of the world, so they must be removed. Seeing Xia En's serious expression, Im nodded slowly, I'll just listen to your decision. 5 elders knelt down in fear, with cold sweat on their faces, and said, Master Xia En, do you want to kill all the celestial dragons? This. Not all of them are killed, those lawless celestial dragons, judgment, those who should be killed, those who should be thrown into Impel Down or thrown into Impel Down. The supreme status, just a few of you are enough. Xia En said indifferently. For example, the celestial dragons of the Roswald family, the concept has been deeply planted and cannot be changed, and the best way is to clear it. Even the celestial dragons were going to strike, the pirates felt a lot more balanced, and even the revolutionary army was very happy, after all, their enemy was targeting the brutal celestial dragons. Gaelinger, you will take the lead in handling this matter. Also, count all the combat power of the celestial dragon's side. Xia En's gaze was on the leader of the Knights of God with moon-like hair. Yes. How dare Geringer refuse to agree? Xia En, who can even kill Poros, who can truly destroy the world, is no different from a god now. On the contrary, Im, the king of celestial dragons, watched Xia En give orders in an orderly manner, and at some point there was a gleam in his eyes. Then, after the world government returns, immediately carry out world conscription. Supplement the position of Shichibukai, and define Shichibukai as a real combat power group. Saying that, Xia En looked at Mihawk, Empress Hancock, Doflamingo and others. They were all pirates before, but the era of great pirates is over, and Shichibukai is no longer a pirate in cooperation with the world government in name, but really belongs to them. Yes, this time, it was the 5 elders who responded respectfully. The celestial dragons have to be cleaned up, and the others are nothing. Didn't you see that even Master Im is obedient and obedient? Well, these things are not difficult, everyone has to use all the resources to achieve them as quickly as possible. By the way, Blackbeard's group, and even the pirates of Pluton Rayleigh who are at large must continue to arrest, and none of them will be let go. Remember, it is to arrest. Xia En ordered so many things. In fact, they are all doing one thing, that is to gather the power of the whole world and gather more powerful people. Hearing this, everyone present could think of it no matter how stupid they were, and began to wonder. First put the prisoners in Impel Down, clean up the celestial dragons, and arrest more people. Obviously, they are unifying the powerful people in the world. Xia En, you have made such a series of big moves to unify the whole world, and you have gathered so much power. Is it? Sengoku also had a bad guess, and asked with some horror. As soon as these words came out, the faces of everyone present changed, and they looked at Xia En. You want to gather the power of the whole world without hindrance, and Mu also wants to know what's going on. Im also wants to understand what Yuan En knows. Yes, Master Xia En, what did you mean when you said that Poros is just the beginning? What's the bigger challenge? 5 elders also asked questions. You should have thought of it, it is to deal with stronger ones. Xia En nodded lightly, not hiding anything. To deal with the Legion from the Emperor of the Universe, it is not appropriate to rely on oneself to save the world. This world is more of their world, and what I said was just an accident. More, stronger, scary, definitely scary enough. Everyone couldn't help swallowing their throats. After hearing Xia En's words, it was a little hard to accept. Isn't Boros' previous performance hopeless enough? Especially the energy that can destroy the world in the end. Now Xia En said, there will be stronger ones. It's about the same as foreseeing the future. Within 15 days, there will definitely be stronger existences. Even after we solve them, our world will face a wider universe. Therefore, unity and common hatred are necessary. I don't hope that there will be pirates, marines, celestial dragons, and villains roaming the world to cause us trouble. Xia En explained a little. It was only then that everyone realized what this series of orders meant. However, when it comes to the stronger ones, everyone was surprised because they couldn't imagine what that kind of existence would be like, and many people began to be distraught. But don't worry, leave the strongest one to me, and I need you for the rest. In fact, Xia En is not too sure, because there are many pervert characters in Frieza's army. Although there is no such existence as Poros, there are quite a few close ones. For example, the Genuit team. I don't know if Vegeta will be under Frieza's hand in this time and space, but the Saiyans are very troublesome. They will destroy the world too. Was also very surprised. After a while, he said. Yes, because the guy who came here is more casual, powerful, and brutal than Poros. It is very easy for him to destroy this planet. But don't worry too much. If everything goes well, we may not be unable to fight. Xia En showed a confident smile. The stronger ones are certainly more terrifying, but Xia En's self-confidence immediately boosted everyone's morale. Yes, they still have Lord Xia En there. Let's get started. Xia En didn't want to say anything more, took with her, teleported and started to rush back one step ahead. I am too tired after a big battle, so I should go back to rest early. As for why I brought this is not to ask what is going on with the child in my stomach. As a result, remained silent and did not tell Xia En. The Marines are on their way back. The captive Kaido, Big Mom, and even Golden Lion and Bullet were all very well behaved, and they didn't even try to escape without thinking that Xia En was gone. Because of the matter of the stronger person, the atmosphere seemed dignified. He didn't mention the matter of punishing us, that is, when the time comes, we will go out to fight the enemies outside the starry sky. He didn't need to lie to us. It seems that the world has really changed. I didn't expect our era to be so dramatic. HMPH, although we are a bit fierce, we are still born in this world. If the enemy comes, then fight. Bullet, Kaido, and Big Mom are all talking, and what is rare is that they are all eager to try. The most powerful is given to Xia En, so what about the others, can they deal with them? For the militants, this is indeed something to look forward to. But not long after the conversation, the Marines brought all kinds of images. All the captives who were defeated in the 457 battle faced the whole world live broadcast. For a time, the world was shocked. The arrest of so many strong people is a very shocking thing for the world's powerful countries. One of these legends is an existence capable of destroying a country. Kaido, Big Mom, Whitebeard, that's the 4 emperors. Even the red hair pirates. How come? The world government has done it. Starting today, the era of great pirates is really coming to an end. It's Xia En Admiral, it must be him. Who else has the strength to capture so many pirates? Yeah, look, even the revolutionary army is like this. It's too exaggerated. The people talked about it, and this scene was really amazing. It is no exaggeration to say that the lineup of captives in the past is a huge force that can overthrow the world government. Among them, Red Hair Pirates is a neutral party, but Shanks, Beckman and others learned from Xia En that the enemy is coming. In order to unify the power of the world, they took the initiative to participate in the live broadcast and let the world see the destruction of the pirate 4 emperors. The end of the era of great pirates. In Marine, Kizaru Admiral also stood in front of the camera and stated the purpose of the live broadcast, which is to end the era of great pirates. At the same time, the world conscription to fill Shichibukai's position will be announced. The world was in an uproar, and everyone's hearts were shocked. In less than a day, there was an earth-shaking change. At the same time, Pluton Rayleigh, Blackbeard's group, and even the Golden Emperor who cooperated with celestial dragons to make a fortune and manipulate power all saw the live broadcast. Sabayati Archipelago. The wine glass in Rayleigh's hand fell to the floor with a thud and shattered. Because after Shaki learned that there was a live broadcast, he set up a small video bug to receive the screen. Seeing it, both of them were stunned in place. What's going on? Suddenly, there has been such a big change. Shaki really couldn't figure it out, especially when Kaido threatened the world government. As a result, within 3 days, all the coalition forces with so many people were directly defeated. What happened to Newgate, Shaki, Redfield, and Red Taro? Rayleigh was unusually dignified. He thought of the powerful aura he felt before, as if an unprecedented war was going on in a certain corner of the world. However, in the blink of an eye, Marine turned on the live broadcast all over the world, telling the world that whether it is a legend or a pirate 4 emperors, they have all been caught. Even in Rayleigh's state of mind, Rao couldn't help feeling flustered. Taking a hard sip of his wine, Rayleigh felt something was wrong. He is someone who has seen the final island, and it is completely different from the prophecy. The era of great pirates should not be ended. Chapter 108 Xia En is now the king of the world. Advertise here. So what happened? Rayleigh frowned and watched the live broadcast, feeling a bad premonition in his heart. Xia En, the time to rise is so short, how can it be that those people have lost so thoroughly together? Shaki is also a man of insight, and now seeing a bunch of pirates, the revolutionary army couldn't help but be shocked when they were escorted. However, the world government now has only one voice, and they could never have imagined what Marine would announce in the live broadcast next. After the escort of the pirates is completed, the trial of the celestial dragons will be held in Marineford. No reason, Sengoku announced to the world directly in front of the camera. For a moment, Rayleigh was dumbfounded, and Shaki's cigarette butts fell to the ground in shock. How come? Who is not dumbfounded? Marine is the subordinate army of the world government, and celestial dragons is the supreme existence of the world government. Marshal Marine is actually announcing that the celestial dragons will be judged. Things are not that simple. If it was just to deal with the pirate alliance, even the celestial dragons should have suffered together afterwards. Rayleigh's cognition was shattered. Unbelievable. Against Tianzheng, celestial dragons were pulled down from the altar like this. Is it because of that genius Marine Xia En? It's bad. Marine's actions are more than that. They want to arrest all the strong wanted criminals outside. Just when Rayleigh was shocked, Shaki saw the next event announced by Marine in the live broadcast, and quickly reminded. The peaceful days are over. Shaki. Rayleigh's eyes were serious, and he let out a slow breath. Something terrible must have happened. The premonition was disrupted, and the celestial dragon stepped down without hesitation. Now even the combat power of the whole world is going to be hunted down. Marine's operation is truly unprecedented. What's even more shocking is that there is clearly a shadow of the five elders. Secondly, you don't need to think about how strong Xia En will be. So many pirates have been caught, and Whitebeard is no exception. A trace of urgency also appeared in Rayleigh's heart. No matter what. You can't just get caught. The other side. Such a big action was made public, and it attracted the shock of the great powers. Whether it was the kings or the underground forces, no one could bear it. There was an uproar, and many people were panicked. Is the world government crazy? Are Marine crazy? Pirates don't let go, and celestial dragons don't let go. What are the five elders doing? There must be something we don't know yet. Quick, check it out. Can't find out. Where are our spies? All lost contact. Could it be because of Xia En? White Dragon Xia En. The kings were blown up, and the other four kings of the underground forces were also fooled. This is simply impossible to happen, but it is really happening now. If anyone is most capable of doing this, only the legendary White Dragon Admiral. Only he has the ability to crush and change the pattern of world government. 1. It has to be said that these kings were right in their guesses. But at this moment, the rest of the Golden Emperor, Blackbeard and others are scattered all over the world, and the pirates in New World are the most fearful. After watching the live broadcast, everyone was very panicked. How could this be the case? The world government will not let go of this. It is impossible for us to compete now. Blackbeard saw the high-level powerhouses of the Marine, and also saw the CP unit of the world government, Kong. After the New World 4 emperors, Golden Lion, Bullet, and Red Earl were arrested, it means that the combat power of the world government has been fully released, without any restraint or fear, and they can be gathered together to capture them with crushing forces. Catch them all. Even at this time, the evil king and the others were already trembling. Not to mention Xia En making the move himself, Garp, Sengoku, and Sora, the three of them couldn't think of a way to deal with it. Even on one of the Fun Island boats. In the resplendent building, the Golden Emperor Tesoro's eyes were already wide open, and his fingers were trembling. Celestial dragons are the backing of his power. Even celestial dragons are not immune to accountability. One can imagine the consequences waiting for him. If those dirty things are exposed, he will die miserably. Quick, go message Marine and say I want to join Shichibukai. After careful consideration, Tesoro immediately made a decision. Didn't you see that even the four emperors are discounted? Now that there is still room for maneuver, it is the right way to lean on Marine. However, Tesoro still has great value. The rest of the pirates were in a panic. If they surrendered, they would be thrown to impel down. If they didn't surrender, they would be hunted down by Marine. It was a dilemma, and Marine was doomed to waste a lot of hands and feet. The other end. On the returning warship, it is different from the intact picture selected in the live broadcast. The warships at the scene were actually in tatters. 5 elders, Geringer and the 6 stood on a high place, watching Marine broadcast the announcement to the world, and couldn't help but sigh deeply. Things are a foregone conclusion, and no one can change it. Sa Tansheng touched his severed arm, feeling very emotional. Then what can we do? If it is true what Master Xia En said, we need a stable rear to deal with stronger players. Aside from these things, Xia En is already the king of the world. Master Yim very much agrees with what Master Xia En has done, so it is enough for us to carry it out. Yeah, let's not talk about it. Just because of the power to destroy the world, we have no choice but to surrender. The other 4 Wuxing said helplessly. Looking up at the separated clouds and the erupting seabed magma behind it, they all speak of the power of Xia En and the aliens. Go back, do you really want to clear out all the family members? Gellinger's thoughts are most respected by celestial dragons. Even if he can't resist, he still hesitates in his heart. Just do it, it's useless to keep those waste. The five elders nodded indifferently, as long as Xia En maintained their leadership. It's already a great favor, other things must not be overreached. Furthermore, they are absolutely loyal to IM. Moreover, IM's attitude towards Xia En seems to be a little different besides the strong one. Far away in the Mariajoy, Xia En had already returned to Pangu City after a few teleportations, found a room and began to sleep and rest. IM not shying away from his bedside, his protruding belly seems to have entered a slow development period during this battle. But she was very happy. Celestial dragons are nothing, only Xion is eternal, and Mu is happy to see you become the king of the world. IM, who has laughed only a handful of times over the centuries, now smiles all the time. In this way, everything began to develop step by step according to Xia En's arrangement. 3 days passed quickly. Xia En woke up from sleep, and her body returned to its full strength. I am glad that Un woke up and brought all kinds of food. At the dinner table, using my blood to conceive a child, wouldn't it develop very quickly? Of course, Xia En couldn't help the curiosity in her heart, and asked IM. Mum actually wanted to cultivate Xion's bloodline, but after the battle with Boros, the consumption was too large, and the energy of hundreds of years was empty, and he could not be born so soon. Having said that, IM also sighed softly. Just so what about the celestial dragons? Xia En took the opportunity to learn more about the secrets of this world with IM. IM didn't hide it, and came up one by one. The 20 countries are actually just pawns of the captain, and they are promised to give them the supreme status. The two chatted for a long time, and Xia En learned many facts from it. Of course, none of that matters now, it's purely listening to 8 trigrams. The life in Mariajoy is also very simple. Xia En doesn't have too much desire for power and is at ease. If it wasn't for the attack of powerful enemies, she would probably have traveled around the world by now. Of course, the world pattern is also changing rapidly. The first is the Mariajoy side. Gellinger leads the Knights of God. Cold-blooded and ruthless, he bagged the scum in celestial dragons, and executed most of them according to Xia En's request. On that day, Mariajoy bleeds like a river, making those slaves, marines, and CP troops tremble with fear. The celestial dragons with high status were completely judged by their own people, none of them were let go, and the rest were even sent into the Impel Down. It can be said that all celestial dragons have suffered retribution except for those with combat power. As for those who are capable of fighting, all those who are guilty will be punished as they should be, without exception, even the 5 elders must list their confessions and publish them to the world. Xia En took an intermediate value between the laws of the previous life and the present life to implement justice. When doing extraordinary things in extraordinary times, no one dares to resist, and no one dares to complain, because those who complain will die. Of course, Xia En will not be so naive as to change this world into the previous life, there must be enough fairness and justice, and there must be rules that conform to this world. Here I have to say, IM's absolute support for Xia En. The other side. The process of world conscription and Shichibukai is in full swing. Another few days passed, and the picks from the draft were finally assembled at Marineford, as well as the Shichibukai supplementary candidates. There are a lot of people. Sengoku, 3 admirals, even 5 elders, Kong all dropped their work and showed up. There are a lot of people, it may take some time to choose. Sengoku discussed with Sora how to execute it as quickly as possible. In the world conscription alone, there are thousands of elites, and the competition selection is also a time-consuming process. So there must be the fastest way. Just at this time. At the high place where the high-rise is, suddenly a figure moves in an instant. A head of jet black hair was randomly tied behind her head, wearing the exquisite white clothes prepared by IM. Xia En's restraint now seems to attract the attention of the audience by her temperament. Seeing the visitor, 5 elders, Kong and others immediately knelt down. Master Xia En. Instead, Sengoku, San Admiral and others couldn't kneel down even if they wanted to be greeted, and were restricted by Xia En. Actually, there is no need to be so troublesome. Here are all the candidates, right? Xia En walked to the edge of the high platform and looked at the people below who were looking up. In fact, whether the candidates below or the Golden Emperor, those who participated in the selection of Shichibukai were stunned by the scene in front of them. What did they see? Although it has been heard in the past few days, the celestial dragons have been cleaned up in large numbers, leaving only the 5 elders and the amazingly powerful Knights of God and other celestial dragons' bloodlines. The leader is the white dragon Xia En and a king of celestial dragons who has lived for 800 years. But now seeing the 5 elders at the peak of power all kneel down to Xia En, and the rest of the top executives are respectful, these people understand that all this is true. Witnessing the facts with their own eyes undoubtedly makes people feel even more shocked. Because Xia En's deeds are too legendary, and there is no shortage of fanatics below. There were even some people who took the lead and followed the 5 elders half kneeling in the square, shouting, Lord Xia En. This is the real king of the world. Sengoku, Garp and others felt infinite emotion in their hearts. Fortunately, Xia En was discovered by them. Who would have thought that in a short period of time, the whole world was under his control? Compared with what Rox and Roger were in the past, it's not worth mentioning at all. The selection below will be reviewed by me. Xia En was expressionless, and said indifferently in the face of thousands of eyes, Zhao's. The people below were suddenly excited. As a result, the next moment, Xia En's eyes were fixed, and the faint blue luster shone through the pupils. In an instant, Xia En sorted out 7 of the strongest players present. Let the Xian review them. If they perform well, won't they be able to climb up in one step if they catch his eyes? The trembling from the soul made it unbearable for all the candidates on the square. Even if this is only 1% of Xia En's power. This is an accuracy that even Conqueror's hockey can't achieve. After all, it is strong enough to defend against Conqueror's coercion. The words were already incomplete, and Tesoro found that he had lost control over hockey and his abilities, leaving only his soul trembling. Soul coercion instantly enveloped the audience. Bleeding out, standing in place precariously. The Golden Emperor Tesoro and some of the confident powerhouses couldn't help being excited. It's almost enough to release 1% of the soul pressure. As if the whole world had already dimmed, huge pressure fell on the soul, and it was suddenly hit hard, and a mouthful of blood was spit out. Strong. Too strong. I actually. A man with green hair below kneeled on the ground with his knees softened, his eyes full of fear. 5 elders and marines are thinking about how Xia En is going to use to review thousands of people, and they have to cooperate well. The terrifying pressure fell on everyone, and the weak people suddenly fell to the ground with a plop and passed out. This is the strength of the white dragon Xia En, as expected of. Xia En is now synonymous with the king. Even the celestial dragons are not as good as him, and it is an honor for them to personally review it now. Chapter 109 The Fear of the Four Emperors, the Stronger Comes. Advertise here. Now, apart from the fainted and paralyzed ones, only 4 of them can still stand in the same place. Among them, there was a trembling green-haired man who continued to stand still, a blind man with a guide stick, and an ugly man with a white beard and trembling head full of cold sweat. The rest is the Golden Emperor Tesoro who has taken refuge in Marine. Xia En knew all of these people at a glance. They are Aramaki, Issei, Tesoro, and Edward Wabel. Xia En also thought that there seemed to be animosity between Zephyr and Wabel, but now it doesn't matter. And the people below have truly seen Xia En's invincible strength, making them desperate and unable to develop a strong sense of resistance. The horror is boundless. This is simply not a strength that humans can understand. At this time, there was only one sentence left in everyone's mind. After dispelling the pressure of the soul, Xia En said flatly, "Go down, just these 4 people." 5 elders, Sengoku, 3 admiral and others have not reacted yet, who would have thought that Xia En's method is so crude, simple and efficient. As soon as the soul coercion came out, even those who hadn't been targeted were terrified. Those below either vomited blood or fainted. Only 4 of them could stand. Yes, wiping off their cold sweat, 5 elders hurriedly followed Xia En down to the square. They thought it was too terrifying. Xia En's casual breath made them unable to resist. And restraining the pressure of the soul, the people below reacted, each and every one of them was shocked, secretly swallowed their throats, and their hands and feet were still trembling. And most of the people vomited blood in response to the coercion of the soul, which caused the scene in the square to become red. But Xia En didn't care about this, and after going down, he directly ordered, "You 4, make an exception for promotion. First let them introduce themselves, and then make a series of arrangements." In the hands of Xia En, Fujitora, the title of Green Bull was bestowed on Yisheng and Wangmu, and they were promoted to admiral in an extraordinary way. As for the Golden Emperor, Whitebeard too, Shichibukai was added to the position. This is Xia En's official order, and the 5 elders respectfully agreed. "Yes, Master Xia En, leave the rest to us." Tesoro, Libanyu Wangmu, Fujitora Yisheng, and Wabel in a daze were all very excited, and facing Xia En was even more fanatical. "Thank you Xia En, my lord." 257 inches. 5 elders all call adults, and they call them that. Xia En nodded slightly. Since these few capable people have been selected, she doesn't need to intervene in the future. Just as he was about to leave, Sengoku also raised his mouth. The guy who calls himself Whitebeard too. "The crisis of the world is solved, let him do whatever he wants." Xia En nodded, and after leaving such a sentence, she disappeared in place in an instant. What a big deal. The strongest in the world. Seeing Xia En coming and going without a trace, everyone envied and sighed at this level of strength. In the future, you will understand that it is nothing to be the strongest in the world, and Master Xian's strength is far beyond your imagination. 5 elders looked back and said after hearing the emotion of the 4. Immediately, the 4 of them were stunned. What did 5 elders mean by? Another few days passed, and more than half of the 15 days had passed. Impel down. Whitebeard, Kaido, Big Mom, Golden Lion, Monkey D. Dragon and many other pirates and the Revolutionary Army have already been sent to the 6th floor of Impel Down, Eternal Hell. The difference is that today's Impel Down is like a small society. Both Xia En and Marine are too lazy to put them in shackles. They just set the scope, and a series of rules such as the 6th floor are not allowed. It can be regarded as kindness, or it can be said to be, it doesn't matter. The existence of Xia En is the most reliable shackle to suppress them, and there is no need for Seastone and others to restrict their progress in cultivation. The jailer is like a food delivery man, and there is no need to care about order or anything. And most of the people on the 6th floor are still sighing every day. Don't even give us the shackles, ha 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 ha. Bullet laughed at himself, laughed every day, and performed physical exercises like crazy. Because it is stipulated that they cannot use hockey, abilities, etc. to fight with the strength that exceeds impel down, and the rest are random. He is punishing us. Pirates are free, so we lost our freedom. We are trapped on the 6th floor and are no longer pirates. Whitebeard sighed and smacked his lips, fading away after not having had a drink in days. Marco, Vista and others surrounded him, and they all sighed helplessly. On the 6th floor of Impel Down these days, the three brothers Luffy, Ace, and Sabo, the Straw Hat Boys, are the happiest AGDF. Especially Luffy, his character has been liked and recognized by many people, and they all give advice to Luffy when they have nothing to do. Whitebeard, Golden Lion, Dragon, even Kaido. Hopefully there will be a day to go out. Golden Lion has now entered the palace for the 3rd time, and it is as familiar as returning home, but no one likes this kind of eternal hell. We will go out, or in other words, when the future powerful enemy comes, we will be cannon fodder. At this moment, Monkey D. Dragon raised his head, and his voice slowly spread throughout the 10th prison. Everyone knows this. Golden Lion said angrily. No one wants to be locked up here, but even if Xia En outside is on the other side of the world, no one dares to defy her. If you go out to fight, you would rather be cannon fodder and throw it away. Then what if everyone does meritorious deeds? Monkey D. Dragon smiled and continued. You mean, Kaido, Bigmom and others also raised their heads suddenly. Give up your former identity. For example, in our revolutionary army, most of the celestial dragons are imprisoned on the 5th floor, and we no longer need this identity. Then, we can only fight for the world, as long as we survive and regain our freedom. Yes, for sure. What Monkey D. Dragon said is also very clear, don't be a pirate or a revolutionary army, just follow the times. For a while, everyone was silent after hearing this. But at this moment, the sound of shackles colliding came from the 6th floor. It turned out that Blackbeard Teach and his group were all arrested and sent in by the 3 admirals. Teach, Van Oka, Lafitte, Badgers, the evil government king, a lot of them, with serious injuries, are disheartened. Seeing that the Whitebeard, Golden Lion, and even the Revolutionary Army and others inside were not locked up, and they were free to gather and talk at the door of the cage, Blackbeard was stunned immediately. They didn't even need to wear shackles, but none of them dared to make trouble and escape from prison. The power of Xia En is already so strong that these legends, 4 emperors bow their heads, even Papa Whitebeard is no exception. This kind of picture is enough to make the Blackbeard group feel unbelievably surprised. Glanced, and soon Blackbeard Teach's face turned pale. Among the prisoners who were not locked up are Papa Whitebeard, and many captains of the Whitebeard pirates. Akainu Sakazuki didn't care about Teach's state, dragged them, opened a cage at will, and threw Blackbeard and his group together, but did not release their shackles. At this time, Whitebeard had already stood up and walked over with a blank expression. Akainu. They are also criminals, why can they move freely on the 6th floor? Blackbeard's heart was beating wildly, terrified of Whitebeard. Xia En said from the very beginning that no one else needs it except you. Sakazuki smiled with great interest, and left with big strides. Kizaru also had an inexplicable smile on his face, and said to Whitebeard, you can't kill people, you can fix it yourself. Immediately, except for Akainu, Aokiji and Kizaru stayed to watch the show. Gu la la la. Teach. Whitebeard went in laughing, and the next moment his expression turned into a smirk. On the 6th floor, there was an incomparable howl and the excitement of Marco and others. Although he couldn't directly kill him for revenge, Marine obviously didn't care about it. Apart from not being able to die, other tortures are indispensable. Not long after, Blackbeard's breath has already weakened. Kizaru and Aokiji don't have any more tasks now, so it's very enjoyable to stand here and watch the pirates deal with their grievances. At this time, Sengoku followed the 5 elders and brought in an old man with white hair and ragged clothes, which attracted the attention of the 6th floor. Pluden. Rayleigh, hee, you're a little late. Bullet scoffed immediately. Rayleigh came in without shackles either. Until now, he didn't expect that it was the 5 elders who led the team to arrest him personally, so he tried his best to escape. Because he doesn't want to be captured yet, he wants to go to the final island to see it again. As a result, he didn't rush out to escape, and was besieged by Sengoku and 5 elders who used their abilities, and their physical strength was exhausted abruptly. Now, after entering the 6th floor, seeing a group of old acquaintances, Rayleigh was also very moved and shocked. Bullet, Newgate, Shiki, Redfield. There are quite a few old friends from the old days. It can be said that except for the red hair pirates, all of them are here. Rayleigh, you'd better be honest. Sengoku stepped forward and directly removed Rayleigh's shackles, without using other prison uniforms and the like, just gave him a random push. That's right, the prisoners on the 6th floor even choose their own cages for sleeping, and they can't escape anyway. Is this how you imprison prisoners? Rayleigh couldn't help looking at the scattered old friends who didn't even have restrictions on them, and was very surprised. Need it, if you like to wear it yourself. Sengoku said with a smile. Then 5 elders added. You can't run away, Rayleigh, now we are going to arrest you. If you dare to run, Xia En will come to find you in person. I think, people here don't want to face Xia En directly. This is said very confidently. Rayleigh has never seen the Xia En battle. Apart from intelligence, the most intuitive one is the Summit War. But this kind of strength is still far from being able to convince Whitebeard and Red Earl, right? So, he thought of the time he had escorted them live, and asked in surprise, why on earth? Newgate, Shiki, even you dare not escape from prison, what happened that day? Xia En, did you really invincible to this extent? What kind of power can make the powerful of the Araby so cowardly? Invincible. It is indeed invincible. On that day, we joined forces, and tens of thousands of people, including me, had no history of fighting back. Newgate nodded lightly, and exclaimed, no way to fight back. Rayleigh found that he still underestimated Xia En, his pupils constricted, and he was shocked. If it's just like this, so many of us escaped at most, but in fact, before the live broadcast started, there was an extraterrestrial visitor. People like Golden Lion Shiki are also idle. After an old friend like Rayleigh came, apart from Bullet's cynicism, he started to talk to Rayleigh about the war on Poros. Rayleigh was dumbfounded until he finished speaking. He could see that what these people said was true. He also felt a very palpitating atmosphere, but at that time in Sabayati, he just thought it was a battle between Xia En and the people in front of him. Whoever thought that the truth is far more terrifying than he imagined? In other words, Xia En saved the whole world. Sitting on the ground, Rayleigh was so shocked that he felt his thinking was confused, breaking his cognition of the world. Who would have thought that Xia En's strength could even easily destroy the world, in the true sense of destruction? It is an unimaginable strength. In comparison, I am, the king of celestial dragons behind the scenes, is not worth mentioning. Golden Lion, Newgate who had tortured Blackbeard, Red Earl, Bullet and others all laughed when they saw Rayleigh's shock after learning the truth. After a while, Rayleigh calmed down and said with a wry smile, no wonder, you don't need these meaningless shackles to imprison you. So, Xia En is gathering the power of the whole world, because there will be stronger ones coming. This breath is dozens of times more oppressive than the sense of oppression that Gun brought to everyone in the previous battle. There are some, but they are far from exaggerated. The secrets there are far from the level of cosmic overlords. Maybe, we have to ask you, is there any connection between you and Roger going to the final island? I'm coming. The system's estimated time is very accurate. In this way, all grievances are temporarily put aside under pressure. For everyone, the uneasy thing is the enemy from outside the starry sky. Shiki nodded, glanced at everyone, then patted Rayleigh on the shoulder and said, so that's it. Golden Lion Shiki stepped over, squatted beside Rayleigh and asked. The powerhouses in Impel Down are enjoying life in prison, and on this day, suddenly feel a terrifying breath beyond cognition. Rayleigh said with a sigh. People like Whitebeard couldn't imagine the level. A sense of despair emerged spontaneously, and even Blackbeard and other prisoners with weak strength fell to the ground, screaming in panic. Zero. Come here, just stay at ease, we can't escape, and we don't need to escape. Who the hell? Why is it so scary? Everyone couldn't help being terrified, trembled all over, stood up and their pupils trembled. Stronger. Time passed quietly in preparation. Chapter 110 Frieza arrives. Let go of this planet after winning 3 games. Advertise here. Outside the atmosphere, a ring-shaped spaceship appears. Looking at the planet below, Frieza grinned and flicked his tail, the sense of chi perception immediately released as the spaceship approached. This also caused his aura to descend on the entire planet without any cover. As perceived by the prisoners in Impel Down as the ultimate terror. I am in the depths of Pangu City, and was immediately shocked by the aura covering the whole world. Stronger. The next moment, I am hurried outside, shocked in his heart. Although we already know that there will be a strong enemy coming, who will be more fierce and powerful than Poros, but I never thought it would be so exaggerated. The sense of fear that every cell in the whole body is trembling, this kind of horror cannot be measured at all. 5 elders was still arranging matters at first, but when the terrifying momentum struck, they were even more stunned. Quick, go, here we come. Marine, God's Knights, CP troops, etc., were all shocked and dispatched after being reminded. What they don't know is that the whole world can feel the horrifying aura descending, whether it's a kingdom or those forces, or even a single person with some strength can feel it, and look up at the sky in horror. The momentum is from the sky. As for the hope of the whole world, Xia En sensed Frieza's arrival one step ahead. Before the momentum came, in the remote area of the Red Line, Hawkeye Mahawk was teaching Xia En sword skills. My sword skills are not difficult. Mahawk was in good spirits, and he did not resist teaching sword skills to Xia En at all, but was very happy. It seems that Xia En can learn his swordsmanship, which is an honorable thing in itself, and what is even more gratifying is that Xia En never refuses Mahawk's advice, and the magic gun is willing to teach even Night Guy. It's just that Mahawk can't learn. On the contrary, Xia En, after seeing Mahawk's swordsmanship once, was able to learn and use it. Ding! Mahawk's swordsmanship has been re-engraved successfully, and it has been detected that this skill has a huge room for improvement, and it is evolving. Your swordsmanship is that there is no trick to win. What Xia En is holding in her hand is the first-generation ghost of 5 elders Azanburn V. Nasuro-san. With a swipe of his hand, a sword light pierced through the air, cutting off a large piece of the ground in the distance. Hawkeye doesn't know how to flatter, but he is filled with emotion in his heart. He deserves to be the strongest genius, with great strength and understanding. Suddenly, at this moment, Xia En frowned and raised her eyes to the sky. What's wrong? Mahawk's expression changed, and he suddenly had a bad premonition. A sudden change of face, I'm afraid it's not a good thing. Xia En didn't explain, and soon, a terrifying momentum suddenly descended. It made Mahawk's hands tremble uncontrollably. What a terrifying breath. The enemy is coming. Unimaginable power. It makes even a powerhouse like Mahawk tremble, far more than 10 times stronger than the previous Poros. Master Xia En. Mahawk quickly suppressed the sense of panic and looked at Xia En. The previous preparations were correct, and Xia En's words were not wrong. I didn't understand enough at first, but now I really know how powerful the enemy from the starry sky is. After feeling this breath, Mahawk understood that such a terrifying enemy, probably only Xia En in the whole world can fight against it. Don't panic. Xia En waved his hand, took out the phone bug and contacted Marine. After dialing, without waiting for Sengoku on the other side to speak, he directly explained, Mr. Sengoku, follow the plan, let's start. Sengoku was obviously having palpitations at this time too. In other words, the entire Marineford was trembling, but Xia En had already given orders, and the orders were issued in an orderly manner, so that they did not dare to move. After 15 days of preparation, all those involved knew that the enemy was about to come. Fortunately, they were not without strong opponents. While Sengoku, Garp and others are arranging, they are still motivating everyone. The opponent is very strong, and we also have Xia En. This battle may not be lost. After passing through the atmosphere, the spacecraft descended all the way, but did not directly reach any island. Frieza floated out of the hatch, looked at the planet full of oceans and pouted. Master Frieza, let's take a quick look, and there isn't any powerful person. Behind him, there were several aliens in combat uniforms, each wearing a combat power detector, and one of them said coldly. This small planet. Frieza chuckled lightly, his eyes wide-eyed. If Poros hadn't disappeared here, he wouldn't have bothered to come here, and even wondered if Poros died at the hands of people on this planet. Obviously Frieza didn't say much about staying patiently on such a planet, and he yelled out casually, and the sound immediately spread throughout the planet. The guy who defeated Poros, come out. I don't know what high technology or ability Frieza used to make everyone hear this sentence. In an instant, people from all over the world and all the islands of the Grand Line were shocked and puzzled under the pressure of the terrifying aura. Poros. Who? What happened? Is there a strong person near us, or is it capable? Many people in those kingdoms did not know about the Poros War. But for those in the know, hearing the words is cold sweat. Xia En and Mahawk were standing on the red line, and they smiled when they heard Frieza's shrill voice. Go get ready, I'll go first. Xia En said something casually. In the next second, he disappeared directly in place. When it reappeared, it was already in the sea area where the spaceship was. The young man who suddenly appeared changed the expression of the warrior behind Frieza. Interesting, I didn't notice you just now. Frieza looked at Xia En with great interest, feeling slightly surprised. Now that Xia En is close, I can feel the majestic power in Xia En's body. Xia En also looked at Frieza, feeling amazed. Sure enough, it was him, exactly the same as the one in memory, and seemed to be even stronger than when he was fighting the Saiyans. You are the strongest person on this planet. Report your name, and then meet King Frieza. Among them, a combatant who looks like a woman and is very close to a normal human scolds Xia En. Xia En knows that he, also called Sabo, is Frieza's right-hand man. However, such a character is too lazy to take care of it, secretly extending his perception to the extreme distance, and discovers that the live broadcast equipment arranged by Sengoku and other marines is pointing at this side. That's right, Xia En will broadcast Frieza's invasion live to the world. However, in the rear, Sengoku, 3 Admiral and others gathered, arranged special live broadcast equipment and looked at the spaceship in the distance. That's the stronger than Boros. Although the Marines said that the distance was at least 10 kilometers, just looking at it from a distance made a group of people flustered. Obviously, apart from some strange shapes, she is not even as tall as Xia En, but the throbbing that goes deep into her heart makes her shudder. War. Marshal Sengoku, the live broadcast is ready. At this time, the technician ran over and said with trembling hands and feet. Okay. Start now. It's time for the whole world to see the truth with their own eyes. Sengoku nodded gravely. As a result, the live broadcast to the whole world started again. The civilians who felt the air had become oppressive didn't know anything, but suddenly, at the gathering places and squares of the major islands, world government personnel opened the live broadcast screen. World government is live again. What is it this time? Is it to announce the end of the era of great pirates? It's hard to say. Hurry up, go and see. For a time, a large number of people came to watch. But when the bustling crowd saw the picture, they were stunned. That's right, Beilong is really kind. He is now the highest authority in the world government. Hey, no, who is Master Xia En facing? Why is there such a big plate flying in the air? That's not a plate. That's a spaceship. What happened again? Vegapunk's improved lens can zoom in on distant scenes, just like standing around Xia En, and it looks very clear. When the people saw it, they immediately exploded, and they didn't know why. Discussions were ups and downs, the faces of the powerful nobles, the king and the royal family changed dramatically after they found out. They have different sources of information from civilians, and even know that there are mysterious enemies in the world. Looking at it now, everyone has a very bad feeling in their conjectures. However, Marine didn't give any narration, even though many people in the world don't understand why, but soon, everyone will understand all this. At the same time, five elders, and even Impel Down powerhouses all had live broadcasts. After seeing Frieza and others, Yin's heart began to become tense. At this moment, Xia En is the only one facing a strong enemy. This is also arranged by Xia En, the live broadcast is one aspect. Let's look at Frieza's attitude first, this is also very important. 0. Seeking flowers. After all, this guy will not destroy without saying a word, and it is not appropriate for the two armies to meet at once. Just as Xia En thought, Frieza is a guy with contrasts. Even if you look down on this small planet, even if you despise it in your heart, you are still polite on the surface. Seeing that Xia En ignored Sabo's words, Frieza laughed instead. You are very good. You can kill all Boros. You are very qualified to be a main force in our army. What's your name? This tone is completely different from Poros' arrogance, making Frieza seem very easygoing. My name is Xia En. Xia En knew that this guy was not really easygoing, but ultimate's cruelty and inhumanity. How is it? The Frieza Legion welcomes you, Xia En. Frieza looked at Xia En appreciatively. With his strength and the combat power tester he was wearing, it proved that the man in front of him was very strong. At least apart from Ginyu, Frieza felt that no one under him was better than him. Invite me to join your regiment. I'm sorry, I am a peace-loving person, and I don't like killing the lives of living beings. It's not suitable. Xia En smiled lightly and refused directly. Will come to invite myself, which is also expected. If it was Sun Wukong and those people who invited him, he might have agreed. What is this guy? The master who destroys planets everywhere, with hundreds of millions of lives at every turn, is completely impossible to accept as a person who lived in the new era in his previous life. Did you not understand the situation? King Frieza is not discussing with you. The tall man named Sabo reprimanded him. The other green-skinned and red-skinned alien warriors also had cold eyes. In their view, Xia En is just a native of a small planet, Frieza. It is such an honor for the king to personally invite him, and he dares to refuse. But at this moment, Frieza raised his hand to stop his subordinates, squinted his eyes at Xia En and said, Are you sure? If you don't join, I'm going to destroy this planet. Said the cruelest words in a very peaceful tone. This is what makes Frieza so chilling. Xia En's eyes were fixed, and she felt the coldness from the Emperor of the Universe. I'm sure, but you may not be able to destroy this planet. To the people on Frieza's side, those words were arrogance. I think you are tired of life. The whole planet is tired of life. No one can stop what the Universe Emperor is going to do, kid. King Frieza, let's get rid of this arrogant guy. Please let me kill him with my own hands. Those alien fighters immediately cursed and reprimanded them in a fury, clamoring to deal with Xia En for Frieza. This scene has already made everyone in Pirate World watch the live broadcast. Only then did Marine's narration explain how terrifying the enemies outside the starry sky are. King of the Universe, Frieza, Xia En, you are actually facing such an existence. Interesting, you are very interesting. Sengoku, the three admirals, Kong, and five elders all sighed inwardly. So this war is settled. Can easily destroy the planet, that is, the whole world. These words made people feel more and more frightened, even the Vegapunk on Danjian Island was deserted. This is our Lord Xia En. It is he who guards the world and resists the powerful enemies from outside the starry sky. Okay, King Frieza, it doesn't matter if I join or not, don't tell me you won't be destroyed if I join. At this time, Xia En at the scene laughed out loud. Having said that, those who watched the live broadcast finally understood why Xia En refused directly, and everyone with backbone applauded. Marine's narrator was yelling loudly. But when it comes to the destruction of the planet if Xia En does not join, some people still feel that Xia En's attitude of directly refusing is a bit disregarding the safety of the world. Frieza smiled, and did not deny Xia En's words. So it can't solve the problem, and Xia En doesn't need to say join, and it's impossible to join. The system task is still hanging there, and there is no reason to let go of the naked 10,000% reward. Xia En is very clear about Frieza's character. Once his strength exceeds his imagination, he will sell himself and destroy the planet by the way. Xing said that he is very clear, and even has some understanding of the universe. When he knew that it was an alien, an existence of the emperor level of the universe, his scalp felt numb. Sure enough, there is no room for maneuver, fan. Chapter 111 Give Kaido 3 abilities. Kaido opens the 100 times Realm King Fist. Advertise here. Then you are ready to die. Dodalia, whose head resembled a durian, immediately jumped out, looking as if she was about to strike. There are not many opportunities for such meritorious deeds for Frieza's army. It doesn't take much effort to deal with the strongest natives, and it can perform well in front of King Frieza. Unexpectedly, at this time, Frieza, who had been smiling all the time, raised his hand and stopped his men. It's hard to rush here. Wouldn't it be boring to meet such an interesting person and kill him immediately? Frieza actually became interested at this time, as if he had some idea in his heart. Immediately, Dodoria, Crocodile Sabo and other subordinates did not dare to continue clamoring for a shot, and respectfully listened to Frieza's instructions. What do you want? Xia En was already thinking about killing these minions in an instant first, and then directly fighting Frieza. If he just did this, it would definitely be no problem to kill anyone other than Frieza, but the battle between himself and Frieza was not so easy. You are just an aborigine on this planet. It's normal to not know the vastness of the universe. Why don't we make a bet? Frieza flicked his tail and spoke. Xia En watched quietly without interjecting, thinking that I know everything about you, the Emperor of the Universe. He just inherited his father's legion. But now he is indeed an indigenous, in front of them. And Frieza's so-called bet is also very simple. My subordinates will have a one-on-one arena match with the people selected from your planet, life or death, as long as your planet can win 3 games, then I will let this planet go. If you don't win, hee. When Frieza mentioned the bet, his subordinates immediately flattered him with 870. King Frieza's idea is really brilliant. That's right. Hello, indigenous people, come and fight with us. Let you see the strength of Frieza's army. That's right, this will let people on the entire planet understand how terrifying the power of the Emperor of the Universe is. The arena is good. The members of Frieza's army think this idea is really good. In a word, they can perform meritorious service in front of King Frieza. Ha 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 ha, how is it? Xia En. Frieza was in a good mood when he heard the constant flattery. He's not joking. If Xia En doesn't promise to spoil his interest, then he will directly destroy the entire planet without hesitation. Xia En wanted to refuse. They are all ready to make a thunderous move, so naturally they don't want to engage in any one-on-one group arena, and let the people of this planet fight with the people of Frieza's army and win 3 games. Even I Am himself may not be able to win for sure, let alone Golden Lion, Kaido and others. Frieza's combat effectiveness detector can see that Xia En's combat effectiveness index is constantly soaring, rapidly rising from 10,000. Even Frieza couldn't help but focus his eyes slightly. It seems that Xia En didn't intend to cooperate. The atmosphere suddenly became tense, and Xia En's momentum became obviously huge. Suddenly, the aura on his body disappeared, and when Xia En's combat power index reached more than 500,000, it directly returned to 0, and his aura converged. Bet, I'll take it. Xia En agreed again in the blink of an eye. Originally, he was really planning to do it, but it was all because the system sounded a prompt. Ding, system task release. In the group arena with Frieza, every time you win a game, you can get a 5,000% bonus reward, which is an all-round improvement. Close black lens bracket. Skills can be obtained by accepting the task. Empowerment. The target can be given 3 skills immediately, which can either be reproduced from the host, or evolve the target's original ability skills by itself. Close black lens bracket. Winning Frieza is only 10,000% bonus. Now winning a game is 5,000%, Xia En has absolutely no reason to reject the generosity of the system. What's more, it directly gave an ability-giving skill, so that the selected people can improve it. It would be foolish not to accept it. So Xia En decisively changed her mind and agreed. Very good. Frieza looked at Xia En meaningfully, thinking that this guy wanted to do something just now. But in the end I still agreed to come down without tearing my face, very sensible. So he continued. Then let's start now, and give you time to find someone. Afterwards, people from Frieza's legion were called, and they directly used skills such as superpowers, laying out a huge arena space on the sea. Xia En nodded and disappeared in place. However, this conversation and the scene of raising hands to build a super ring made the people watching the live broadcast startled. Now the eyes of the whole world are focused on the ring. Marine is right, they are really terrifying. Master Xia En promised to fight in the ring. If you don't win 3 games, then the world will be destroyed. Don't worry, with Master Xia En here, there are many strong people in our world. The people gradually realized how terrifying the enemies outside the starry sky are, and many people also expressed their confidence in Xia En. The preparation for Xia En is very simple. Bring 5 elders, Gellinger, I Am and Marine, Admiral, Shichibukai, the red-haired group, Sengoku, Garp, Kong, etc., plus Marine from Impel Down, the Revolutionary Army, etc. people. Everyone also knows why Xia En wants to concentrate all his combat power, and now is the time. On a huge battleship, he directly used teleportation and transferred everyone to the arena prepared by Frieza. People all over the world exclaimed when they saw this scene. My god, that's the 4 emperors, Shichibukai, and the legendary pirates. Even the Revolutionary Army is here, they are all arrested, and now they are pulled out by Master Xia En to fight in the ring. I don't think it's a win, a big battle is inevitable. Enemies from the starry sky, what will happen to the world? But ordinary people may not understand it enough, and they can still feel and look forward to it. But Impel, 5 elders, and even the Impel Down people were full of unconcealable fear in their hearts. Especially when Xia En brought all the powerful people on the 6th floor over in one go, many people felt their feet go weak, and their hearts were really frightened to the extreme. Because at this time, except for Frieza, all the officers around him are very terrifying. Xia En also saw the elites of the Genuit team, plus Dodoria, Crocodile Sabo, etc. The number of people who appeared was slightly smaller, but all of them were very powerful. At least, apart from IM, no one can match the aura of the opponent. With such a disadvantage, the Golden Lion, the Red Earl, the 4 Emperors and others, as well as the 5 Admirals of the Marine, were uncertain, and even the pirates were terrified. Everyone is such a terrifying guy, how to fight? This is not Poros and his 3 monsters. Especially IM and 5 Elders, just feeling each other's aura like real hell, their foreheads began to sweat. Compared with Frieza's men, Poros men are not at the same level at all. How to fight this? IM sighed in his heart. There is no way. This is the difference in the strength of the planets. They are just natives on one planet, who can't even fly the universe. On the opposite side is already a legion that claims to be the emperor of the universe. Nothing is impossible if you have the courage. Xia En knew that she was worried about the large gap in strength, so she turned her head and looked behind, and found that many people were so frightened that their legs were limp. But there is no blame, but because the gap in strength is indeed very large. Especially now, when Frieza, Team Genuit, and Dodoria saw Xia En bring over a group of weak chickens, they laughed mockingly. This smile immediately made the faces of the people on the beach turn green. Watching the live broadcast, the nervous audience couldn't help feeling annoyed. The cosmic man on the opposite side really looked down on the strong man here. It seems that I have some reasons for thinking, this planet is only seen by you and her. Frieza did not hide the contempt in his eyes, and then said to Xia En and IM. Ha 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 ha, do you still want to go to the ring to die? Oh no, everyone has to die anyway. It's a bit boring, how can this level compete with our Frieza Legion? You can't say that, let's make it look good, so that King Frieza can see it comfortably. Dodoria, the Crocodile Sabo all laughed. Xia En ignored them and turned to face everyone with her arms folded. Who's in the first game? Needless to say about the rules, many of the people present looked away from Xia En's question. Even Bullet didn't dare to go up to fight, and silently lowered his head, not knowing what he was thinking. Whitebeard, Garp, Sengoku and others frowned and were about to stand up and recommend themselves. But unexpectedly, one person stepped forward first. He suppressed the fear in his heart, and aroused his fighting spirit to go up and fight against the cosmic people. This man is none other than Kaido of the Beasts. The man who was once called the strongest creature. From everyone's point of view, this is undoubtedly the first person to come out to lead the death, and the universe people on the opposite side will definitely send a strong person to fight the first match beautifully. It can only show that Kaido is very courageous. Xia En was surprised, Sengoku, Garp and others were also very surprised. Looks like they've picked the first guy to play. Frieza said casually, propping his cheek with his arm. At this moment, he was even thinking about whether to destroy it directly, because the people on this planet are really weak. King Frieza, I will lead the fight. Everyone in the Legion wanted to go up and perform, but Dodoria came out the fastest. I saw him directly landed on the ring, looking proudly at the Legion colleagues above. Knowing that Kaido is on Xia En's side, he immediately taunted him. You're really weak, I hope you can last a little longer, don't let King Frieza lose interest, ha 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 ha. Kaido gritted his teeth and glared, wanting to fly out and become a dragon to attack. But at this time, Xia En's hand was on his shoulder. Empowered, Xia En didn't say anything to him, and directly activated the skill. Kaido was still a little dazed for a while, thinking that Xia En was going to explain something, but before he heard anything, the body began to undergo earth-shaking changes. There are even more things in my mind. 100 times Realm King Fist. Ultra Instinct. And my abilities. The soaring ability made Kaido exude a golden light all over, very powerful. Compared with the previous momentum, it is simply a sky and a ground. Frieza, Dodoria and others also paid attention, and they all looked at Xia En with surprise. Is he helping to improve his strength? Although the ups and downs are very large, Dodoria has nothing to fear. Even if Kaido's momentum is soaring now, it is still far behind his strength, so he is very calm. On Xia En's side, Marine, pirates and others were also very surprised. They felt Xia En's enhancement of Kaido's strength from a close distance, and they were shocked. Good boy, when did you master such an ability? If this is the case, perhaps today's arena may not be. There's no hope. Sengoku and Garp looked at each other, a little excited. 5 elders, Gellinger and others are also excited, because in their feelings, Kaido's promotion is quite terrifying. At this time, the empowerment is completely over, and Kaido's potential is still very huge. The fruit in the form of the green dragon has actually evolved into the form of a 5-clawed golden dragon. With the addition of the 100-fold Realm King, Ultra Instinct, it must be no problem to deal with Dodoria. Xia En smiled and nodded with satisfaction. Go. The excited Kaido is both complicated and shocked. He never imagined that Xia En has the ability to improve himself. Moreover, after feeling the complete evolution of the green dragon form, Kaido's heart was trembling, and he worshipped Xia En like a god. In his heart, he regretted that he used to target Xia 0.8 En so much, but now he is repaying grievances with virtue and helping himself improve his strength. So I immediately made up my mind that I must win well and not embarrass Xia En. Behind Xia En, everyone was shocked to the extreme. It's interesting. Kaiwankwan. HMPH, will you definitely win? Even Frieza looked up at the ring below with a surprised expression. Kaido has a violent temper, and the anger on his face turned into a battle calendar. Cosmic people are strong. So what? 100 times Realm King Fist, open. Everyone knows Kaido's strength. He must not have been so strong when he stood up. It must be because of Xia En's help. Such an astonishing change and an unbelievable momentum made everyone in the audience shocked. If you raise your aura a bit, do you think you are invincible? In my opinion, it's just a change from a weak bug to a stronger bug. Kaido's 1,000 words became this sentence. He nodded solemnly, and then jumped directly onto the ring. I will definitely win. Then you should feel it, what it feels like to be defeated. Didn't you see it? That's Kaio Fist. It's a form used by Xia En. Especially Marine, when he saw Kaido using Kaio Fist, his jaw dropped to the ground in shock. In a fit of rage, Kaido erupted with a ferocious arrogance, like a burning aura, soaring into the sky. The swirling airflow carried a majestic momentum, which changed Dodalia's expression greatly. Facing Kaido's height of more than 8 meters, Dodalia looked very short, but what she said was simply contempt to the extreme. This guy's fighting power can still continue to soar. Chapter 112 Kaido Evolution 5-Clawed Golden Dragon. Astonished Dodoria. Advertise here. Kaido, who exploded with 100 times World King Fist, is simply the reappearance of the King of Hell. His unusually tall 8-meter body is shaking with strong air currents. Dodalia didn't expect that after the guy on the other side broke out, he could improve so much. Kaido used the 100 times Realm King Fist, and the improvement was huge, which made him feel a little guilty. What's going on? It shouldn't be. This is not at the same level as before. Could this native be pretending to be a pig and eating a tiger? Everyone in the Frieza Legion above couldn't help being shocked, and there was a bit of an uproar. How could that guy's aura be so much higher than before? Dodoria. It looks like a fierce battle. That's fine, won't it be boring if you win too easily? Dodoria. Quickly defeat him. Ginyu, Sabo and other powerful cosmic beings can still keep calm, with such a better look. Hearing the urging from the people above, Dodalia snorted coldly in her heart. The momentum is very strong, but it is not certain whether the real strength is so strong. There is no words to start the competition, and the two of them will fight at any time when they go on the field. Dodoria is Frieza's entourage, and her strength is naturally not weak. Even though Kaido is powerful at this time, she still holds a kind of contemptuous mentality. I saw him a standard explosion. Swing your arms and charge towards Kaido. Everyone in the One Piece world couldn't help being shocked, and even could only see the afterimage of Dodoria, which shows how fast it is. But at this time, Kaido's dynamic vision can clearly capture Dodoria's figure, and he raised his arms very quickly, colliding with her fiercely. The impact caused by the collision of forces, the naked eyes are stretched apart, and the ground of the platform is instantly cracked. If it was Kaido from before, I am afraid that even Dodoria's blow would not be able to bear it, and he would be pierced by a punch, but now, although he feels the powerful force of the cosmic beings and makes his body tremble slightly, there is not much pressure, and even feel that I will be able to do a job with ease. He. Kaido couldn't help laughing in a low voice, and laughed louder and louder. The excitement in my heart 06 the excitement is indescribable. Strong. Really too strong. I never dreamed that I could achieve such strength. And the person who made him achieve this power is Xia En, the man he once hated but now looks up to. Why are you laughing? Dodalia felt offended and cursed angrily. Immediately, he spun, changed his posture and slashed at Kaido. However, Kaido's powerful body is blocked by raising his hand, even if the ground below has completely cracked and subsided, his body still remains motionless. You guys are really strong. If I was still at the level 1 was before, one punch and one kick would be enough to break me down. But now, it's you cosmic beings who have to recognize the situation. When Kaido spoke, Tudolia's face changed drastically. Because at this time Kaido actually directly grabbed Dodoria's leg with his backhand, and slammed it towards the ground. With a bang, the stones burst and flew. Although she was thrown suddenly, Dodalia was not injured. Raising her hand in anger was a wave of Qigong that condensed strength. Also uses beams. From the perspective of people in the pirate world like Kaido, Qigong waves are like beams of light. While saying in amazement, he used Haki to quickly cover both palms and press down on the Qigong wave. As a result, Kaido was blown out in the explosion without any accident, and fell not far away, with smoke coming out of his palm. The Qigong waves of energy explosions in these cosmic people are very powerful, and Kaido did not expect it. But the next moment, before he could stand up, Dodalia rushed to him angrily. People from the Frieza Legion, or people from the Dragon Ball dimension are all good at physical skills, and they are very powerful in fighting. Kaido is obviously still not familiar with fighting with this intensity, unlike the previous 2 blows that can be resisted by virtue of his body advantage. When Dodalia showed his own skills, he could react but couldn't resist the attack, and was hit continuously. Xia En hugged the next door, looked at this scene indifferently, and thought, of course, the fighting skills of Zoran are stronger. But when Kaido gets familiar with it. For the likes of 5 elders, Sengoku, Garp, Kong, and Whitebeard, the Kaido-Dodoria fight is a bit of a blur. Either stay in place, use both hands and feet to fight fiercely, or move left and right to quickly move and confront. With the fight, Kaido also became more and more used to the power of his body, and it didn't take long for him to be able to come and go with Dodoria from being passively beaten. The sound of bang 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 continued to spread all around, and its powerful force even shocked everyone in Pirate World. It's so hard to even see clearly. Compared with the previous battles, it's not even the slightest bit tough. But this kind of battle is an insult to Dodoria, especially the gaze cast by the Frieza Legion above, so that the grumpy him can no longer bear it, and decisively show his full strength. Go to hell. Damn the natives. Wu Kongshu got rid of the physical battle with Kaido. Dodoria was suspended in midair, directly pressed down with both hands, and fired multiple Qigong waves continuously. Kaido didn't dare to connect these beams hard, especially if he had the illusion of facing the finger pistol. He quickly jumped to avoid it. But under the continuous and intensive Qigong waves, he was still bombed by Dodoria. In the flames, being hit once is equivalent to suffering more times. Sure enough, Dodoria bombarded excitedly, and immediately dived down again, trying to launch a heavy impact on Kaido's figure. When he was about to collide with the figure in Kaido's firelight, the silver-white arm that had always been glowing directly protruded from it, and confronted Dodoria. The arena under his feet cracked. Under the terrifying power of the two, the seawater outside the ring was violently shaken. The airflow diffused, dispelling the smoke and fire after the Qigong wave explosion, revealing Kaido wrapped in silver-white luster. Ultra Instinct. The Marines were startled by the power of the fight between the two, and gasped when they saw Kaido's silver-white hair. They are too familiar with this form. Pirates are also very familiar. How many people has Xia En hanged with this form? The previous Kaido would definitely not be able to do it, so how did Xia En do it? It is Kaiwankwan and Zizagi, and even passed all such powerful moves to Kaido. Faced with this state, the cosmic man behind Frieza also shrank his pupils in surprise. They can see that Kaido's form is very wrong. Although the momentum is not as strong as before, the strength he may display may be even more terrifying. Ultra Instinct suppresses perceptions such as observation haki within a range of 10 miles, and enters into absolute calm and grasps all movements. After Kaido turned on this state, he felt a mysterious fighting touch, as if he could use his body perfectly to fight. From this, I was amazed. It turned out that this is Xia En's terrifying strength. The more I understand it, the more terrifying this kind of strength becomes. You don't even have to think about the next battle yourself at this time. With one hand resisting Dodoria's attack, the other hand smoothly pulled out the mace from his waist, and with the powerful Conqueror's haki entangled, he violently smashed towards the enemy in front. Thunder 8 trigrams. With one blow, black lightning was densely covered, covering the entire space between the two of them. Before Dodolia fully exerted its strength, the stick had already hit. Bang! Dodolia's head was dizzy from the beating, and she slid and flew upside down against the ring, dragging out a gully. What happened? The crocodile Sabo above, Ginyu and others didn't understand it. The Qigong wave bombing just now had the upper hand. How could Dodoria be knocked into the air during a collision? Even Frieza became interested, watching with serious eyes. The next step is to blow you up. Kaido said a word coldly, his body tensed and exploded, and he sprinted too far. Dodolia gritted her teeth and flew up to avoid it, touched the shoulder that was hit, and yelled very violently, "Damn bug." The energy on his body exploded even more, leaving an afterimage on the spot immediately, rushing down and entangled with Kaido again. But Kaido, who has turned on Zizagi, is simply a humanoid Tyrannosaurus Rex. Even if he does not use the dragon humanization, his skill and reaction have all reached the limit. With the fighting style of the cosmic people, Dodoria unexpectedly didn't touch Kaido at once. Whether it was moving at super high speed or using afterimages to confuse, he would be dodged by Kaido within millimeters. It seems that Kaido has eyes all over his body. He can clearly grasp the attack line, and his hands and feet can form different counterattacks, without violating harmony. Zhang Sanshi. Yin Naraku. The more Kaido fights, the more excited he gets, but the expression in his eyes can always calm down. Amidst the many afterimages, a stick hit Dodoria's body by chance. Like the effect of thunder falling from the 9 heavens, this blow directly blasted through the arena. Dodolia almost bleed out, and his expression became more and more ugly. If his body was not strong enough, he would have been beaten to the ground long ago. He was completely suppressed by Kaido. Dodoria is going to lose. Not necessarily, he still has powerful moves that he hasn't used yet. Seeing this, the Frieza Legion above couldn't help feeling impatient and gloomy. It would be embarrassing to lose the first game. And they could see that Dodolia had already displayed a lot of strength, but she was still suppressed. But the people on Xia En's side were shocked. It was the first time they had seen a battle of this level except the decisive battle between Xia En and Poros. They were dazzled by the confrontation between Kaido and the aliens, but they could also see that Kaido was using various moves to suppress the aliens. However, at this time, Dodoria, who was smashed into the air by Kaido again, flew into the air with a disheartened face. The natives on a small planet actually forced me to this point. Dodoria, who became angry from embarrassment, finally let go of her face and burst out all her anger. The entire area was trembling, and on the broken ring, gravel and dust were all floating away from gravity in Dodoria's explosive state. The sea area around the arena was constantly oscillating, and the air currents were swirling, and the momentum was extremely great. Raise the state to the strongest. Dodoria opened her mouth, and the mouth burst out with light. The dazzling beam shot fiercely at Kaido. Seeing this scene, the cosmic man behind Frieza raised his mouth slightly. The people on Xia En's side were shocked by the terrifying momentum, and they broke out in cold sweat. He. Unexpectedly, Kaido didn't dodge or evade at this time, but laughed out loud. When the light from the mouth is about to fall, an even more dazzling 963 light blooms on his body. The golden dragon scales appeared on Kaido's body, and his body changed rapidly, turning into a golden dragon. The larger and more majestic dragon body hovered, and a dragon's breath spewed out between its mouths. The two energies collided fiercely, forming a circular conflict zone, and immediately exploded, and the terrifying fluctuations instantly shattered the arena. Seeing that Kaido turned into a giant dragon and blocked his ult, Dodoria immediately sweated in shock. What is this? Afterwards, only gold was left in Dodoria's field of vision. Kaido actually used the five-clawed golden dragon body to pass through the explosion area and completely surrounded Dodoria. Another dragon's breath spewed down, and Dodoria didn't even react, and was directly washed by the scorching dragon's breath and let out a scream. Go to hell. Kaido's eyes were full of undisguised murderous intent. The hovering dragon body twisted, rolled up a hurricane and blew on Dodolia's body, and then turned into a golden dragon man with dark golden eyes. The people behind Frieza were both surprised and ugly. I helped him improve his strength and evolve his fruit ability. There is no suspense in this match. It is very obvious that with the combination of dragon humanization and ultra instinct, Dodo's strength has far surpassed Dodoria. The dragon man, who is more than 10 meters tall, pinched Dodoria, just like pinching a chicken, directly and mercilessly smashing the hammer. Damn it, Dodoria is actually embarrassing us. And for the five-clawed golden dragon, they, including Frieza, have never seen it before. On Xia En's side, seeing Kaido transforming into a golden dragon and completely suppressing the opposing cosmic beings, everyone almost dropped their jaws. Golden Dragon. This little planet actually has such power. In the first game, they lost. Many people looked like they couldn't hold back. Xia En smiled lightly and explained something casually. Fortunately, Kaido is about to win the first match. Open your mouth and roar into thunder. Or rush the breath of the dragon. When everyone heard the words, they couldn't help but gasped and looked at each other. Everyone knows what the form of Yuyuguo Qinglong looks like, and now looking at Kaido's form, I am shocked. Master Xia En, how did Guy Kaido become a golden dragon? Dodolia tried her best to break free, but the burst of light from her mouth was suppressed by the dragon's breath. Dodoria screamed, and found that all the energy she burst out couldn't resist Kaido's dragon breath, and Kaido immediately grabbed her in her hand. So can the fruit ability evolve. Master Xia En is really a ghost-like method, which is unimaginable. Chapter 113 The Horror of the Five-Clawed Dragon. Win the first game. Susanoo of Whitebeard. Advertise here. Marine's live stream has been going on and on. Just relying on video bugs and equipment to broadcast live, even if the picture is more high definition, ordinary people can't keep up, and they can't always see the battle on the ring clearly. But it does not affect their awareness of the danger and horror of fighting against the aliens. In the battle between Kaido and Dodoria, a single blow can directly knock out a huge hole in the ring that does not know how thick it is. A roll is like a knife like wind. The terrifying speed makes people's eyes blurred, and there are afterimages all over the ground, until the appearance of the five-clawed golden dragon shocked the audience all over the world. It's a terrifying battle. Is there really such a person? They can easily blow up an island. This is the world-destroying enemy outside the starry sky. Wait, look at the four emperors Kaido, from a blue dragon to a golden dragon. Five-clawed golden dragon. It's a five-clawed golden dragon. The supreme dragon beast. Look, that cosmic man was completely suppressed and beaten by Kaido. Won the first game. Yay. The whole world knows that as long as they win 3 games, these cosmic beings will let the whole world go and immediately solve the crisis of world destruction. This made everyone watching the live broadcast cheer. During the scene, everyone on Xia En's side stared wide-eyed at Kaido's tyranny of the cosmic people, feeling happy in their hearts. Dodoria. The trash. The combat strength of the people on this small planet has reached more than 20,000. Let me go down and defeat that golden dragon. King Frieza. Behind Frieza, the crocodile Sabo and the others had gloomy faces. They were surprised but couldn't bear the embarrassment on their side. Cosmic people who were stronger than Dodoria clamored to end in person. King Frieza's entourage was actually abused by people from a small planet. Can this be tolerated? The arena is the arena, and if you die, you deserve it. But at this time, Frieza, who was sitting in the suspension cabin, raised his hand to stop his men. He just watched Dodoria being beaten up by the dragon-like Kaido ruthlessly, without any fluctuations. At this time, Kaido also seemed to feel that Dodoria had been beaten almost enough, and he threw it directly into the sky, and the body of the dragon man turned into a golden dragon bigger than the spaceship again. Die, spaceman. The golden light gathered in the mouth, and the burst of dragon's breath directly submerged Dodolia's body. The arena was dilapidated, and only a small piece remained standing on the sea. Dodoria fell into the seawater with a black body, no breath at all, and it was not known whether she was really dead. Xia En took a look, then turned to Frieza, the corners of her mouth slightly raised. With the empowerment, people in One Piece world can also reach a very high upper limit, except for Frieza himself, others are not a threat. These rewards are settled. Ding. After defeating the first round of the group arena, the host will receive a 5000% reward. Close black lens bracket. As soon as the result of the battle came out, the system's prompt came as promised. The mysterious and supreme energy directly nourishes Xia En's body, and she improves rapidly without sound. Another big increase in strength. This is a 5000% increase, and Xia En's current strength is very obvious, and he feels refreshed and satisfied. Kaido also flew back at this time, and everyone looked at him differently, a little complicated. Big Mom and others praised again and again. It's really relieved, Kaido. You did a great job in the first match. Although Marine and others didn't say anything to Kaido, they also somewhat changed their disgust towards Kaido. At least today he has done a great thing for the whole world. In contrast, Frieza was much more gloomy, with a pair of fiery eyes staring straight at him. Until Frieza ordered the ring to be restored. It's wonderful, Xia En, you still have this kind of power on your planet, he. Frieza looked at Xia En and laughed sharply. He doesn't care about Dodoria's life or death, but... Listening to the duplicity of laughter, Xia En directly waved her hands and said, don't talk about the rest, next time. It's just one game for you, the next is the main event. Frieza is no longer underestimated as before. He knew that it was Xia En who helped stimulate the fighting power just now, and the next person who will appear on the stage should do the same. So he raised his finger and ticked it. The Genuit team behind them was a little moved and wanted to make a move. Let me do this one. Frieza's entourage, Sabo stepped forward first. Hey, don't underestimate the people on this planet, the combat power of that golden dragon just now reached 25,000. Geese of the Genuit team nodded his combat power tester and said. Road. Quote. Sabo bowed respectfully to Frieza, and immediately landed on the ring, quietly looking at Xia En. In the face of such a beautiful man, who is still very close to a normal-looking cosmic being, Marine and the pirates dare not underestimate him in the slightest. Dodalia's durian head was defeated, and he can still stand up, which shows that he is definitely a stronger existence. But with Kaido's previous record, it shows that Xia En will further enhance their strength. Golden Lion, Big Mom, Bullet and even Garp, Sengoku, etc. all have some intentions to play against the universe. Let me do it this time. Seeing Kaido beating Kamui against the Cosmic Man, Whitebeard felt extremely uncomfortable, so he volunteered to fight with Xia En. Xia En nodded and agreed without any hesitation. Whitebeard's potential is huge, and if he is empowered, it won't be a problem to beat the opposite Sabo. Being one step ahead of this old guy, Garp and others were a little depressed and could only wait for the next game. Empowering. As usual, before leaving the field, Xia En reached out and touched Whitebeard's body, and a faint white light flashed across. Whitebeard's eyes widened suddenly, and he looked at Xia En in surprise. It turned out to be like this. Xia En's magic method. In an instant, infinite power surged from his body, and 3 more moves appeared in his mind. Hundredfold Realm King Fist, Ultra Instinct, Susanoo. These are Xia En's famous stunts. He transferred his moves to himself. And it seemed like he was born with it, as if he could use it directly with just one thought. Thinking of this, Whitebeard couldn't help admiring Xia En even more, and half-kneeled to Xia En in front of everyone's astonished eyes. Immediately, Whitebeard laughed heartily, holding the belief of winning, and jumped into the ring with a naginata. In the arena, combat power 310. Sabo saw Whitebeard leave the field, and then numbers jumped out on the combat power detector, and his eyes froze immediately. This number is not accurate. For example, the number of Kaidos that appeared at the beginning was only more than 200, but it can reach tens of thousands in a blink of an eye, which cannot be underestimated at all. Whitebeard stood still in the end, facing the gentle-looking, green-haired and blue-skinned cosmic man. He did not dare to be careless in the slightest. Even standing there, Whitebeard could feel the great power in him. That Xia En also used methods for you just now, right? Then start using them, otherwise, you will have no chance. Sabo folded his arms, trying to relax, but in his heart he wanted to test it first. Whitebeard didn't say a word, and held up the naginata he was leaning on, and put on a posture. In the next moment, he unleashed the 100 times Realm King Fist without any hesitation. The burst of arrogance soared into the sky, and the next day's breath layered space. With the bestowal from Xia En-sama, I really know Kaiwang Fist. Marine and the pirates couldn't help poking their heads out, watching Whitebeard's outburst in shock, thinking that it really was so. This aura is not at all inferior to Kaido's strength just now, and it even surpasses it by a lot. The Frieza Legion and others in the spaceship above were also dignified, and Liza himself looked at Yuan En very meaningfully. And Sabo also lowered his arms at this time, his eyes showed caution, and he never treated the people on this planet as soft persimmons. Because on the combat effectiveness tester, the value of Whitebeard 310 actually kept soaring, directly rising to more than 20,000. Of course, the 100 times Realm King Fist does not mean that it can be directly increased by 100 times, but the value of this increase is simply unimaginable. From the perspective of cosmic beings, it is even more so. The value of Sabo itself is also around 23,000, so it will not be careless at all. The next moment, he also burst out with white flames all over his body, shouted loudly. Instead of choosing to approach physically, he used Qigong waves instead. People on this planet have soared in combat power very quickly, but from just now it seems that there is still a certain gap in long-range attacks. He thought very comprehensively, and wanted to use light waves to take the initiative in battle. Pushing forward with the palm of the hand, the light explodes, she forms a beam of light and rushes towards the beard. Once hit, it will immediately be shrouded in flames formed by energy bursts. The Whitebeard knife was raised, but it was not expected that Guangbo was the first to attack from the opposite universe. With a wave of the backhand, Susanoo moves as she pleases. The lines of Mangekyo flashed in the eyes, and blue light burst out immediately, and the phantom giant was formed in an instant. Just in time, the Qigong wave came and hit Susanoo's body, bursting out with dazzling light, and the explosive air rushed and swept the entire arena. But Whitebeard was not affected at all in Susanoo, and he sighed in his heart. This is Xia En's indestructible move. It consumes less energy and has amazing defense. The beam of light beams so powerful from the cosmic man came and exploded, but I didn't feel the impact at all. Such a scene was not only amazed by Whitebeard himself, but the marine pirates did not have the tough defense by accident, because this is one of Xia En's famous stunts. Song was surprised that Chong En also taught this trick. The cosmonauts on Frieza's side spoke in a mess. What is that? Transparent blue light man. What a strong defense, even Sabo's Qigong waves can't shake it. Generally speaking, a guy with combat power like Sabo is powerful enough to blow up a mountain with a single blow, but now the opponent is intact. Sure enough, it's weird. But, if it doesn't work once, then 10 times, 100 times. Sabo thought to himself that it was a good thing he didn't directly kill him. Immediately facing Whitebeard, he pulled his body into the air, and immediately pushed out his hands continuously. Continuous Qigong wave. On the original Qigong wave, the hands explode back and forth, and you can even see that the light waves are getting stronger and stronger. Whitebeard also didn't expect that the opponent's attack would explode without thinking. I was directly overwhelmed by this large number of light waves for a while. With the eruption of the first round, the fire lights up, and then the second and third waves. Until the fire directly shot up into the sky, even Susanoo was submerged in it, and the entire ring was blown to pieces, and it was directly destroyed as soon as the fight started. The huge energy explosion brought about the tremor of the entire atmosphere, and a strong hurricane formed by the turbulent airflow. If it weren't for Xia En on the battleship, Marine and the pirates might. I am afraid that it will be difficult to even watch the battle at this time, and I will be directly blown away by the aftermath. Newgate. Daddy. But even so, the Whitebeard pirates, Golden Lion and others were all shocked when they saw the scene where the arena was constantly being bombed. The huge arena that was more than 10 miles in all directions was directly blown out by Sabo, and the seawater was stirred up from below. However, until he stopped, Sabo looked at the place where the smoke and dust were billowing, and his expression relaxed a little. With so many hits, it shouldn't be hard not to lose. Next, as long as the opponent's aura is slightly weaker, he will be overwhelmed by melee combat and will directly defeat him. As a result, Susanoo's blue light emerged from the smoke and dust, from head to body, intact. Goo. It's really strong. Whitebeard himself didn't expect that in the face of such an attack that could level the giant island, he could only feel the vibration of the impact and explosion, but in fact the opponent couldn't break through it at all. How come? What the hell is this? After eating so many Qigong waves, there is nothing wrong. Sabo and even the cosmonauts above were taken aback. You people from beyond the starry sky, why do you sit and watch the sky like this? Whitebeard sneered, leaning on Susanoo to stand on top of the shattered ring. Suddenly at this time, Sabo didn't give up his offensive thinking, and landed like a shooting star, kicking Susanoo's head with all his strength. That's where Whitebeard sits on the forehead. Zzz. I saw that the cosmic man Sabo's feet kicked Susanoo's illusory light into the sinking, pulling the watch body to cause blue sparks to burst out, as if he would directly kick through him in the next second. But after all, it is still not enough attack power. Shout out. Sabo turned around in the air, changed his leg and punched, and hit Susanoo again. The result was still the same, the powerful force penetrated through, smashing the arena under Susanoo's feet. It can't be broken at all. The expression flashed complicated, even annoyed. Sabo turned his head as if rising, and then found a way to attack the illusory giant. However at this time, Whitebeard sneered. You've attacked so much, it's up to me. With a backhand punch, he aimed directly at Sabo who was rising in midair. With the blessing of 100 times Realm King Fist, the power of Shock Fruit is activated. Click. The atmosphere around Susanoo suddenly cracked. Chapter 114 100 times Shock Fruit, the sky is cracked. Advertise here. What's this? The cosmic man Sabo felt the huge pressure and his pupils contracted suddenly. It seems that the effect of space shattering has never been seen before. You don't need to think about it to know that the opponent's moves are very powerful, and you suddenly retreat at a loss. However, the Shock Fruit under the blessing of the 100 times Realm King Fist is more powerful than anyone imagined. Before the punch was fully punched, the entire area, whether it was Xia En's side or Frieza's side, as well as the entire New World were trembling. What followed was Sabo's dizzying situation, and shock fruit was targeting him alone. Didi. At the same time, Whitebeard's combat effectiveness has skyrocketed on the combat effectiveness tester. 21,000, 22,000, 0.28000. With a loud shout, Whitebeard threw a phoenix fist at Bo. The broken atmosphere exploded, and the powerful ability transmitted out of thin air instantly ruptured the surrounding sea. In the true sense, it breaks into pieces, up and down, and flips. 5 elders, Geringer, Sengoku, Garp, the 5 admirals, including the pirates, gasped in shock and frowned when they saw such a terrifying shock fruit ability. How can a person on a small planet have such a strong fighting power? How can such a place where gravity is so light? The cosmonauts on Frieza's side were also taken aback by the ability they had never seen before. It seemed that the cosmonauts with less than 20,000 combat power were scared back, staring at the battlefield below in disbelief. Their combat power meter can also see how strong Whitebeard is with such a move. On the contrary, Xia En's eyes showed admiration, and he secretly said, Whitebeard is Whitebeard, after getting the power of Kaiwang Fist, he can still control the range. Don't forget that Shock Fruit's ability can trigger a global tsunami and destroy the world. At this moment, Whitebeard is locking the shocking power of Queen of the 100 Times Realm King Fist in a range, allowing it to burst and deliver destructive power. And Sabo, surrounded right at the very center of the rupture. Hateful, you forced me to do this. Sabo was completely furious under the stimulation of the powerful moves. If you don't show your real strength, you won't be able to sustain a move with a combat power of 28,000. Cosmic people who love beauty can only choose to transform. Amidst the loud bang, only a small part of the intact arena completely collapsed and fell into the sea. Sabo was also washed by Whitebeard's shocking force. When he felt pain all over his body, his limbs 540 swelled like beasts. Pustules even appeared on the blue skin. The appearance became extremely ugly, with huge mouth and fangs. The image of the originally handsome man completely turned into a monster with a crocodile face. It is also in such a state that Sabo's body is extremely developed, and he forcibly resisted Whitebeard's shock fist. The destructive force tore his body, making him roar uncontrollably. Although he couldn't move at will, shock the power of fruit can't completely damage it. But it's clear that Whitebeard's intentions are much more than that. The backhand punch continued to maintain the crack in the atmosphere and output the power of shock fruit. Seeing that Sabo could still resist the transformation, he gritted his teeth and released all the power. It's like adding the shock wave from the gun barrel, washing over Sabo, and heading straight to the spaceship behind. It has to be said that this is a good idea. If the move is strong enough to injure many spacemen, the spaceship will be damaged as well. But at this time, it was Frieza and the Genuit team next to him blocking the path. The atmospheric distortion visible to the naked eye, accompanied by strange cracks, even the figures of the Frieza Legion began to shake a little, as if they were going to be upside down at any time. At this time, Ginyu strode into the air to block the front, raising an arm to block the front. In the next second, there was a bang, and it actually received all of Whitebeard's vibrational power, and he remained motionless, bearing all the power like a black hole. This scene stunned IM, 5 elders, and marine pirates behind Xia En. Xia En smiled slightly and said, I have some ideas, Whitebeard. And Whitebeard's eyes narrowed. He didn't expect that there is such a strong master among the cosmic people, who can easily take over the power of shock fruit. Get rid of him quickly. Rushed to the front by the aftermath of the battle, Frieza squinted at Whitebeard, and then said to Sabo with some displeasure. The rules of the arena are set by him, and there is nothing he can do about the aftermath of other moves, which is normal. Sure enough, the proud Sabo was going crazy. His opponent's move in the ring was not completely blocked and interfered with the rear. He was even reminded by King Frieza, and immediately burst into anger and swooped towards Whitebeard. I'm going to tear you to pieces. The ugly Sabo, whose anger was rising sharply, stretched out 5 lizard-like fingers, and with the help of strength, was going to pierce Susanoo. It is true that after the transformation, Sabo is a powerful group, and Whitebeard can feel the powerful force falling, with the sound of tearing. He actually tore a hole in the Susanoo released by Whitebeard. Blue sparks are shining wildly. Got you. Sabo with sharp mouth and fangs stared at Whitebeard in Susanoo, wanting to tear it apart completely, and then kill Whitebeard. As a result, Whitebeard didn't panic in the face of such a situation. Susanoo's defense is not invincible. As long as it reaches a certain level, it will always be broken, so facing an opponent like the Cosmic Man, Whitebeard really activated another skill. Extremely comfortable. The silver-white light shining in the pupils instantly covered the whole body. The power of the 100 Times Realm King Fist is under his control in an instant, and the strange state makes Whitebeard's mind completely calm, reaching a perfect fighting state, without leaking a single bit of power to waste. Susanoo also disappeared suddenly at the moment when the ultimate intention of freedom was opened. Sabo thought he had torn it apart with his own hands, and rushed towards Whitebeard with a grinning grin. The tips of the black nails on both fingers poked straight into Whitebeard's chest. However, Whitebeard under Ultra Instinct didn't even need to think, the limbs automatically responded to the fight. Raise your hand, armed with the characteristics of Conqueror's two-color hockey, and the red and black lightning blasts towards Sabo. Amidst the loud bang, the ripples of power conflict spread visible to the naked eye. Surprise flashed across Sabo the crocodile's eyes. He felt as if he was attacking on the iron wall. He was about to start a close combat. Unexpectedly, before he could react, Whitebeard bullied another fist with silvery white luster towards his head. Bash. And at the same moment, one knee cooperates with the movement of the hand. However, the cosmic man Sabo is very proud. At such a dangerous moment, he chose to face Whitebeard head-on. A circle of fluctuations and shock spreads in all directions. As Whitebeard and Sabo shook head-on, the atmosphere around them cracked and spread. The sea suddenly seemed to have lost its gravity, and a large area of the sea directly bulged and poured down, which was extremely terrifying. Even the space was trembling, and the power and energy acting on the two of them was even more terrifying. The huge power made Sabo tremble all over, and Whitebeard could also feel the strong power of the cosmic man, and roared to fight against it. As Frieza's entourage, Sabo's combat power can reach 29,000 after transformation, and even more with a desperate burst. It's just that Whitebeard was ruthless at this time. Dee, the combat power detector worn by Sabo then rang rapidly. 28,000. 0.29000. 0.30000. 31,000. How can it be? The sudden soaring combat power index made Sabo startled, and what followed was the shocking force of the explosion, which was extremely swift and violent. The majestic vibrating power turned into an impact, completely erupting from the blow on Whitebeard's knee. In the shocking scene of shattering all over the sky, Sabo with sharp mouth and fangs was blasted into the sky. The blood foam in the mouth was spit out, and it was shaken into nothingness before it could be seen. Why did his combat power suddenly increase, so much? With a combat power of over 30,000, Sabo knew that he could not be an opponent at all. However, Whitebeard in Ultra Instinct state is simply a calm and brutal beast. Knocking it into the air is not the goal. Whitebeard not only wants to win, but also wants to win so beautifully that the cosmic people will no longer dare to underestimate their own world. The silver-white trajectory flashed past, spanning the distance between Sabo and him, who was flying upside down, before he had time to react. Whitebeard's 8.8-meter tall muscular body reached even higher. The naginata in his hand spun several times, his eyes locked on it, a white halo shrouded the tip of the knife and he slashed down. At this moment, Sabo's eyes widened, his heart suddenly stopped, and a strong sense of crisis spread all over his body. In desperation, he exploded with anger all over his body, trying to adjust his body shape to deal with it, but what followed was dense cracks in the atmosphere. These visually extremely shocking cracks are the effect of Shock Fruit's super-level performance. They are like chains, imprisoning all Sabo's movements, making him stiff for a few seconds. In a duel between the strong, let alone a few seconds, even half a second is enough to affect the battle situation. Hundredfold Realm King Fist, Phoenix Saber under the blessing of Ultra Instinct is even more terrifying. Sabo was stunned, he didn't expect his life to be in danger on such a small planet, and he was still transforming. Want to kill me? Sabo was almost insane from the shock, his ugly crocodile face twisted. He quickly placed his right hand on his left arm, using his left hand as the launch point, gathered all the energy in his body, and faced Whitebeard's knife. Super large Qigong wave. In the eyes of everyone, the crocodile Sabo surrounded by atmospheric cracks exudes dazzling light, and the rapidly gathering energy in his left hand can be faintly seen turning into a spherical shape. He waits for Whitebeard and his naginata to drop. Newgate. For Sengoku, Garp, and Golden Lion, everyone was worried. The cosmic man's moves are obviously also very terrifying. If he still falls like this, it will hurt both sides. On the other hand, the people in Frieza's army stared at Sabo's embarrassing battle, and a group of cosmic people were both shocked and ugly. Sabo is one of the strongest fighters in Frieza's legion. He was forced to such a degree by the people on this small planet, and he might even lose. At this time, a terrifying shock wave explodes towards Whitebeard falling from the sky. The bright shock wave directly submerged the cracks caused by the shock fruit. But Whitebeard did not dodge or evade, his eyes twinkled with the belief of victory. The next moment, red and black lightning bolts shot down from the falling shock knife like heavy rain. Die. Whitebeard growled. In the eyes of human beings, the super-large Qigong wave of the cosmic man Sabo is split and twisted, and the naginata is unabated, with white halos, red and black lightning right facing Sabo's facade. Horror. Sabo's eyes are full of horror, bloodshot. The number on the combat power display soared from 31,000, 32,000, to 35,000. Fortunately, Sabo's super-large Qigong bow broke through the blockade of shock fruit, facing the crisis of life and death, he had a chance to dodge. Even if it is less than half a meter away from your body. Exploding seawater surged into the sky, and was immediately dispersed into water mist by the force of the vibration. The power carried by the shaking knife poured into the bottom of the sea, causing earthquakes in the entire sea area, even the Grand Line and Red Line. People on the side of the marine pirates couldn't help but be shocked by the power of the fruit under the fist of Whitebeard's 100 times king. The eyes of the cosmic people, including Frieza, all darkened. At this time, Sabo's right shoulder and a small half of his right leg were cut open, and was blasted by Whitebeard, bloody, and fell into the debris of the collapse of the seabed, and was immediately flooded by seawater. Without. On Frieza's side, no one cares whether Sabo is dead or not. They all touched their fists, feeling a great insult, because they lost 2 games in a row because of King Frieza's group arena. Lost at the hands of this small planet full of water. On Xia En's side, 5 elders, Gellinger and others were all very excited, and the marine pirates cheered. Facing the live broadcast from all over the world, the common people, nobles, royal family, underground forces and other audiences exploded after the huge shock. Won again. Great. Those cosmic beings dare to underestimate us, ha ha ha. As long as they win another game, they will lose. So what about the cosmic people? What destroys our world? I don't think they are opponents in a real fight. That's right. I've seen it all. The strongest man in the world, Whitebeard, is still alive. It can be said that amidst the jubilation, Kaido and Whitebeard's 2 consecutive victories brought great confidence to the whole world. They even thought that Frieza and the others would not be the marine led by Xia En, the rival of Pirate Beauty. These people also don't know that it's Xia En's improved strength that makes these 2 victories so simple. But in fact, Whitebeard was also very tired. Although he was not injured, he almost exhausted all his strength in the last knife. As Xia En watched Whitebeard return to the camp, the system's prompt came as scheduled. Ding. After defeating the second round of the group arena, the host gets a 5000% reward. Close black lens bracket. With a bonus of 5000% at every turn, it's really refreshing to upgrade. Xia En's strength skyrocketed again, and she couldn't help but feel even happier.